At Minute Maid Park, it's the Houston Astros and Oakland Athletics tonight from the ballpark. Game 2 of a 4-game set leading into that All-Star break. Well, this week has been all about George Springer. He fell just a little bit short in that MLB final vote. One man who will be going to that All-Star game is Jose Altuve. Altuve went 0 for 4 last night. What a rarity that is. He has still reached base safely in 36 of his last 39 games, and he has been on a tremendous tear. Let's take a look at the Houston Methodist League leaders. And Altuve, of course, he has been there almost from the get-go. The power has been a little bit of a surprise. 14 long balls this year. He's knocked in 49 runs. As Mike Stanton said earlier, maybe the leading candidate for the MVP. It has been all about Altuve and the RBIs. Now that he's batting in that 3-hole, you can't get away from talking about the long balls and the home runs. But let's look at where Altuve has ranked since June 1st amongst league leaders. You see the batting average, second in all of baseball, second in hits, third in on-base percentage. Of course, this is no surprise for a player who leads Major League Baseball overall in hits and batting average. So strange to see him go 0 for 4 last night. But Altuve and the Houston Astros will look to start another winning streak tonight against the Oakland Athletics. When we come back, Bill Brown and our birthday boy, Alan Ashby, will have the starting lineups on the call of the game right here on Root Sports.
Houston Astros baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Jack in the Box. It's back, the Portobello Mushroom Buttery Jack. Taste it before it's gone at Jack in the Box. By Academy Sports and Outdoors, donating $100 for each Astros home run and $200 for each Correa home run to Houston Children's Charity. And by Southwest Airlines, transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Another sizzling summer day outside. Colin McHugh has gone out to the field in quest of win number 6 of the season. He's been in a drought since his last win, which was May 30th at Arizona. Certainly has had some good starts since then, but no wins personally, with the teams winning some of those low-scoring games. And his ERA is at 4.5 as he takes the mound tonight. Meanwhile, Oakland won the opener of this 4-game series last night, 3-1, with fantastic pitching from Rich Hill. It's Jed Lowry, the former Astro, leading it off and playing second base for the Athletics. Chris Davis is in left field batting second tonight. Josh Reddick hitting third at right field. It's Danny Valencia, the cleanup man, at third base. Stephen Vogt, the catcher. Billy Butler, the DH. Yonder Alonso at first base. Marcus Semien, the shortstop. Billy Burns in center field. And Houston native Daniel Mingden, who went to Texas A&M, will be the starting pitcher.
And with Colin McHugh, we've covered a lot of the numbers against the Oakland A's on the season. He's made one start. It wasn't a good one, and he wound up with a no decision in that one. Lifetime in 6 starts, 4-1 against the Oakland A's. Nice ERA of 3.23.
Those are substantial numbers for Colin against this club. The Astros lead the season series 4-3. Oakland won for the first time here at Houston this season last night. Jed Lowrie gets it going. Lowrie last night batted second. He was 0 for 4 in that game. The pitch is up for ball 1. Bill Welke, the crew chief, is the home plate umpire. Lowrie at 279 has 2 homers, 25 runs batted in. The Astros have held him to a 185 average. He's burned them in the past. He has a 306 career average against Houston. 2-0 to Jed Lowrie, who is a Houston resident, and as Brett Dolan told us last night, Jed's looking forward to having a nice all-star break right here. He taps it first base side and foul for A.J. Reed. It's 2-1 for Lowrie. Oakland has lost 6 of the last 8 games now. And there you see the shift is on for the switch hitting Lowrie, leaving only Luis Valbuena between second and third on the infield. This Oakland club is 20-23 on the road this season. 2-2 on their current road trip. They lost 2 of 3 in Minnesota. Broken bat, and that will get on through the infield. Half the bat winds up behind the mound on a leadoff single by Lowrie. We've seen some broken bats lately.
Yeah, that was bat dancing avoidance time there for Colin McHugh. And then what really hurts is to jam a guy like this and have him wind up getting a base hit out of it. That little cutter got in deep on the hands. We'll get a look at our Mattress Firm Super Mow. And with that Super Mow, you see some damage being done on the lumber.
Lowrie's aboard for Chris Davis. Davis has gone deep 19 times with 53 runs batted in, a 257 average for this powerful number 2 hitter who's hit 347 his last dozen games. He was 1 for 4 last night. That's in for strike 1. McHugh with that curveball, a very important pitch for him. Has been struggling with 2 strikes in the count. Struggling to put away those hitters in the last few starts. It's 1 ball 1 strike, but over the course of well, we'll say 32 starts in a major league season for a lot of guys, there are going to be different trends that last 3 and 4 and 8 games here and there.
Tonight's Strike Zone brought to you by MD Anderson. Take a look at that last little cutter get yanked well off the outside edge.
Foul back by Davis. It's 1-2. The A's are just 12th in runs scored in the American League with 353. They're averaging 4.1 runs per game. They have really been hit hard by injuries. They have 11 players on the disabled list. Upstairs for a ball. That evens the count at 2-2 with Josh Reddick on deck. The Astros are 6.5 games behind front-running Texas as play starts today. Texas will be hosting Minnesota. That game not yet underway. Foul tip, and Davis is a strikeout victim.
Nicely spotted little cutter from Colin. His last time out early on, his 4-seam fastball was riding hard and possibly was the 4-seamer.
No problem for him that time, finishing off a hitter with 2 strikes. Josh Reddick, who was on the disabled list for a while, still trying to get his stroke back together. 296, 5 homers, 19 runs batted in for Reddick. Reddick was 0 for 4 last night, reached on an error and scored a run. That's ball 1 to Josh. Since he was reinstated from the 15-day disabled list June 28th, he's hit just 182. Lowrie's lead. The Athletics do not do much running. 1-1. They have 36 stolen bases. That's 9th in the American League.
Spotting it on that outside edge, just putting a portion of the baseball in the zone.
Reddick swings, and he was fooled on that swing. 1-2.
It's that curveball we were talking about, and it's been a big strikeout weapon for Colin, not just this year. See that Josh Reddick was entirely fooled.
McHugh, with that one in the dirt, goes to a 2-2 count. Colin has really stepped up the strikeout pace with that curveball. His last 9 starts, he has struck out 38 on his curve, as opposed to just 15 strikeouts on his curveball in his first 8 starts. Almost half of the swings against his curve have been swings and misses in his last 9 outings. Fouled away. Danny Valencia is on deck. This is a 4-game series taking us up to the All-Star break. Tomorrow we go to day baseball for Lance McCullers and Kendall Graveman on a 3:10 start. Sunday it's a 1:10 meeting between Dallas Keuchel and Sean Manaea. Hit hard. Valbuena recovers. Backhanded flip to a stretching Correa for out number 2. He didn't make the clean pickup. He got the lead runner, 2 outs, and Reddick is aboard.
As sharply as that ball was hit, if handled cleanly, and even with the speed of Reddick, that's easy double play time. But then once you kick it, you're fortunate to get that out.
Yes, sir. No error on the play because the Astros did get an out. And he went with a backhanded flip. Got it there a little quicker. Now with the shift on, it's Danny Valencia. The third baseman with a good bat has a .309 average. He's hit 12 homers. He swings through that one, and it's 0-1 to Valencia, who's driven in 33 this year.
It's heart of the order guys for the Oakland A's can drive the baseball, and this may be their most dangerous hitter.
He was 1 for 4 last night. Singled and scored a run. That one's in on him. The previous pitch was a cutter away, so Colin McHugh's trying to establish both sides here. And he's at 1-1 in the count. Valencia is 5 for 14 with a homer against Colin. That was a pretty good looking pitch. 2 balls and a strike. I think it's especially effective when pitchers come inside twice in a row, Ash.
Especially when you're getting it close to that edge.
Yeah.
Start to forcing the hitter to think in there.
In for a strike. How many times have you talked to hitters who will tell you, well, the pitcher came inside on me, so I knew he wouldn't do it on the next pitch?
Yeah, no, the hitters will think that way. What Colin does is he comes back with the cutter coming front door.
Cutter's just off, and it's 3 balls 2 strikes now, and an automatic run for Josh Reddick at first base on the full count with 2 outs in the inning. Popped up. Valbuena comes in from third. That's a 0 to begin the game for Colin McHugh on 1 hit with a man left. The Astros up against Daniel Mingden in just a moment. Starting lineup brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Here's the way it looks for A.J. Hinch tonight. George Springer in right field. Marwin Gonzalez second base tonight. DHing Jose Altuve. Carlos Correa shortstop. Luis Valbuena third base. Carlos Gomez center field. A.J. Reed first base. Jake Marisnick left field. Colby Rasmus is out with an ear infection. Jason Castro catcher.
And on the mound, we've talked about him, local product out of Texas A&M, Daniel Mingden. He's made 5 major league starts. Not a great start with a 1-4 mark, but the numbers would say he's pitched much better than that and brings that Raleigh Fingers closer's mustache into the starter role.
He is fun to watch. A little bit different style than you may have seen. 3 seasons at Texas A&M after going to Westside High School in the class of 2011. 4th round pick by the Astros. They traded him in the Scott Kazmir deal to Oakland last year. First pitch of the game, strike 1 to George Springer. Springer's on an 8-game hitting streak, 266, 19 homers, 51 runs batted in.
Got some 1920s something going on in this windup.
Bet. He is different. Changeup comes in. And it is 0-2 for Daniel Mingden. And it's been his dream to pitch in this ballpark. He was hoping to pitch here with the Astros. One and two, and he's told some people in the media doing interviews that it's been really nice for him to get to the big leagues faster after the trade. The opportunity was there for him quicker with Oakland than it would have been for Houston. Tapped out to second for Lowry. Lowry throws to first. He's played 38 straight games without making an error. By the way, George Springer put out a very nice statement thanking the fans for all their support, finishing second in that final vote for the final spot on the All-Star team.
And referring to the Houston fans as the best in the world.
He nailed it. Marwin Gonzalez, to give Jose Altuve's legs a rest, is playing second base. Marwin at 249 has 6 homers, 23 runs batted in. Marwin last night was 0 for 4. He had the only Houston RBI. That was on a ground out after a Springer first inning triple. Ball 1 upstairs from Mingden, who last time out gave up 7 hits and 4 runs in 5 1/3 innings. That was in a 5-1 loss to Pittsburgh. But he's had some really good starts with this Oakland club. 5 major league starts for Mingden. In the air, and the left fielder comes in. Davis calling off Semien, 2 outs. And Mingden has only won 1 game and lost 4 with a 3.48, but that ERA will tell you he's had some good starts, and he has not had much run support. He lost 2-1, 5-1, 4-2 before he won 8-3, and then last time out a 6-3 loss. Jose Altuve with 14 homers, 49 runs batted in, continues to lead the American League in batting average and the majors at 346. He is slugging .553. He leads the majors in hits with 117. And fouls it back. There's strike 1. He had an unusually rough night last night, going 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. A lot of guys go 0 for 4, but for Altuve this season, it's been something we haven't seen a whole lot.
I think I saw him swing through more fastballs in that one game than maybe any given week over the course of the season.
Rich Hill was very good last night.
I think he's deceptive on his fastball for some reason.
Is that Raleigh Fingers mustache? 2 balls and a strike. Daniel Mingden wears it with flair. He uses some of that wax. Altuve works the count to 3-1. Jose, with his 117 hits, ranks 3rd in club history prior to the All-Star break. Bob Watson had 123 hits, 1973 at the All-Star break. That's a foul ball, and it's 3-2. And Altuve set the club record, 130 hits in at the All-Star break in 2014 when he won the batting title. This is his 178th consecutive game played. That's the longest games played streak in the majors. And he fouls it right out of the catcher's mitt. It almost had it by him at 93 miles per hour upstairs. They're ducking behind the screen. The Astros managed just 3 hits last night. One of those an infield hit. Altuve flicks it foul. He can put up a battle.
Yeah, somebody's getting ready to face the wrath of the bat of Jose Altuve soon. And a number of his hits recently have been the little tappers. He beats out those infield singles. But when he gets it hot, he will lash it all over the yard.
The Astros as a team are hitting .394 when they put the ball in play, and they're ahead in the count. Semien makes it a 1-2-3 first from Mingden. No score after 1.
Nothing. A whole lot of nothing. I will sit there and probably sleep outside in the sun for 4 days.
Okay. She'll come back tan.
Hopefully, unless I get burnt.
Okay.
Let's hope George doesn't get too much of a sunburn. Here's our Geico quote of the day. He wanted to thank the fans for the unbelievable support this week, his teammates, all the fans that voted in the final vote. And you see his comments. He said, "I can't thank you all enough. Can't wait to get back after it in the second half." So well done by George Springer, and certainly guys from the fans who made a pretty good case to get George to San Diego.
The fans were just all over Twitter today. There is strike one. Stephen Vogt leads it off in a scoreless game. 266, 6 homers, 24 runs batted in for Stephen Vogt. Vogt last night was 0 for 2 with 2 walks. Yeah, it was a strong turnout on social media by the Astros fans today. And he is very appreciative of that. And what an awareness this has created in other parts of the country for George Springer. He certainly carried Texas. Curveball, and it's a foul ball. It hit the dirt apparently. So not quite a strikeout for Colin McHugh.
I think George's personality, along with the way he's played the game, big factors in the fans reacting the way they have. Does this ball hit the dirt before falling into? I'm not so sure he fouled that ball, did he?
Not sure. It did hit the dirt, but not sure if he fouled it.
So you get that second sound, and the presumption is that it was a foul ball.
Springer got a greater percentage of the vote in Houston than Roy Hofheinz, who ran for mayor.
Well, we need a recount.
In the dirt. 1 ball, 2 strikes. But what a great experience for George, even though the entire nation of Canada, of course, had the tremendous advantage over George's fan base. But boy, his fan base grew, didn't it? There is a lot more awareness of George Springer and his talents after that voting, because the highlights were just out there for people to see on social media. Poke toward the left field corner. Here's Marisnick cruising over. His first step just allows him to make a play like that easily.
Time now for a look inside the box score, brought to you by Jack in the Box. Astros versus A's, the starting pitching. 3-2. The Astros find themselves in that spot. The Astros have pitched very well in the 7 games. Opponent's batting average against way down, so the starters have done well, and they need another one of those tonight.
Billy Butler comes up. Butler takes. There is strike 1 for Colin.
Brownie, what I would say in terms of George Springer and the vote, if you go back to that all beginning and you see Dustin Pedroia with the fans of New England behind him the way they tend to be behind the Red Sox, you would figure he might be the guy, along with Michael Saunders, who had Canada behind him.
Right.
That would make it really tough on George, but well, I think he woke a lot of people up in terms of what Astros fans bring.
2 balls and a strike. McHugh coming inside again.
There's that running action on that fastball. When he scuffles, that fastball tends to stay on that side. And that's why I mentioned the last time he was out there, the 4-seamer was alive in the strike zone.
Now 3-1 to Butler. Butler's picked up the pace, hitting .296 his last 28 games with 15 runs batted in after a terrible start. And that's ball 4. First walk for McHugh, the 29th of the year. He's in his 98th inning. Butler's aboard for Yonder Alonso.
Finally put one in the strike zone and you can't get the call, but it's part of missing your location. And again, when things tend to get rough for Colin, it's missing to that side.
Alonso had 2 hits last night, drove in 2 runs. 249, 3 homers, 24 runs batted in. Infield shifts around. And he fouls it, strike 1. Now he goes down in a heap.
It's never a good position to be in at the end of your swing.
Oh, that's pain.
What exactly happened here?
Watch the ball. Oh.
Foul tip off his leg?
Yeah, it's right off the kneecap, left kneecap.
You start hitting the back leg and you're doing something that's not right.
Bob Melvin out.
At this point, you're not concerned about mechanics, though.
No, sir.
Oh, yeah.
The A's are already down a man. Coco Crisp is serving a 1-game suspension for last night. He did not mean to toss the bat into the umpire, but when he was called out on strikes, he threw that bat on the ground and it rolled back into the home plate umpire, DJ Rayburn, last night. So he is serving a 1-game suspension. And here's a look back at what happened with Crisp.
Over the night, the Oakland A's weren't pleased with a number of calls. Coco didn't like that one. That proved to be at the knees in the strike zone by our box. And then when he swung at one in the dirt, it was all DJ Rayburn's fault.
And he later apologized for that. DJ Rayburn, on the usual umpire rotation, has rotated to third base for tonight's game. Yonder Alonso back with an 0-1 count. Ooh, that's the curve, and he works for strike 2. I think I said that that Crisp was called out on strikes. He obviously swung at strike 3. He didn't like the call on strike 2, and that's what really set him off. Then after he swung for strike 3, that's when he got mad about that earlier call.
That's one of those weird at bats because he swung at 2 balls in that AB.
Alonso's down on strikes. That's number 2 for McHugh.
I think Yonder Alonso might agree that the Colin McHugh curveball can be rather tough. Right over the top. When he's on, it is 12-6. You can actually see on the side of that baseball the center point of that rotation on the seams.
Yeah. Good replay. Marcus Semien, the batter. Semien looks at ball 1. 240, 18 homers, 44 runs batted in for the talented shortstop. It was plagued by error problems last year, but that has been fixed. That's in the air to left center. And the outfielders, as Gomez is in position, find it to be easy for out number 3. We go to the bottom of the second with no score.
Bottom of the second inning we go. Let's take a look now at our Ford spray chart. Carlos Correa is the topic of our spray chart as he's been banging it all around the yard, driving in runs. For me, the key about Carlos Correa, since he's gotten in that 4 spot, he has taken on the mantle of the guy who must drive in the big runs for the ball club. But you can see he uses the whole field, left field, becoming a little bit more the dominant side now for Carlos.
Daniel Mingden goes to work. And he throws strike 1 at 92. Carlos begins the night at 262. He has 13 homers, 52 runs batted in. And since June 20th, he's been a 295 hitter. Had a good RBI clip. That's a quality pitch, and it's 0-2 for Mingden. Mingden started the year at AA Midland, and then he moved up to AAA Nashville.
That's good action on his fastball.
That double pump is something rarely seen in today's game. Back in the 50s, it wasn't that unusual. 1-2. Pitchers had longer, more exaggerated windups back in those days. And he doesn't always do it, so he could be quick pitching somebody if he only pumped once instead of twice, if they get used to that once. And he can vary the routines that way. Valbuena's on deck. Gomez due up third in the inning. Broken bat roller. Valencia throwing accurately. Takes care of out number 1.
Turn that foot in and Have to maintain contact with the rubber. So says the rules. Bringing a whole lot of Raleigh and a whole lot of something else in there at the hitters.
Luis Valbuena, with 11 homers, 32 runs batted in, is hitting .258. Last 10 games, .290 for Luis. His on-base average is .359. He's calling time now. And we had heard from Ray Fosse, one of the fine broadcasters for Oakland, that one of the hitters who's faced Mingden tried to call time when he was into that double pump, and the umpire gave him time out, but that should not be allowed. Ball one. It just takes him a little while to get that ball to the plate, but once he starts it, hands going in the windup, I find it to be shocking that an umpire would give the hitter timeout. He's into his delivery once he starts those hands.
Yeah, I'm with you, Browning. And I think most umpires try to live by the credo you're talking about there, but maybe because extra time is allotted, maybe it feels like, well, we can give it.
There was a story about Mingden today in the Houston Chronicle, and he seemed to indicate that when Mingden was an Astros farmhand, he was told not to do that double pump. 1-2. All the way. I asked Valbuena if he's hitting the ball more to left field this year. He said, well, a little bit. Whatever he's doing, whether consciously or subconsciously, the results have been better.
Sometimes you're just, for whatever reason, seeing it better. And when you start thinking about it, you can actually get yourself in trouble.
Now 2-2. Well, he has a career year going as far as on-base average, slugging, and OPS. So at these rates, it would be a career best season for him with those numbers. Hit 25 homers last year. He has 11 now. He got a late start in homers. He is called for a swing, and he wanted the appeal to go down to the third base umpire, but the swing had already been called by Bill Welke.
I think most players, maybe all hitters anyway, would agree that they would prefer home plate umpires not taking this call. But I think it just becomes too tempting for some of the guys beyond the dish. I think had that been appealed down to third base, Valbuena was not going to win that one anyway. Get the left-handed punch out.
Carlos Gomez, 2 nights ago, had 3 hits. Gomez looks at ball one. Gomez was 0 for 4 last night. 4 homers, 23 runs batted in, and a .223 average. It's 1-1. Mingden 2-0 at Midland with a 0.78 ERA in 4 starts. Then he went up to Nashville, had great numbers there in 7 starts. And he makes that play, throwing out Gomez, and he has 2 perfect innings in his first ever start at Minute Maid Park. And it's no score.
Innings. Join us at Minute Maid Park tomorrow, Saturday, July 9th, as the Astros take on the A's. 10,000 fans will receive a Jose Altuve replica Navy jersey presented by Exclusive Furniture. For more information, visit Astros.com or call 1-877-9-ASTROS.
Ooh, he's all ready to go.
Never be unprepared for a foul tip.
Well, a lot of people bring their glove to the ballpark. Not too many bring their mask. We go to the third inning, no score. Billy Burns, the number 9 hitter, leads it off. And that one's in for strike one for Colin McHugh on Burns, a .236 hitter with no homers, 12 runs batted in. He came in last night when Crisp was ejected, and he drew a walk in his only plate appearance. It's 1-1. Quite a night last night for Doug Fister. Very good work. 8 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs. Unfortunately, he was the tough luck loser. Rolled out to second. Marwin takes care of out number 1.
Time now to take a look at tonight's Chevy Stroll poll. What are we dealing with tonight? What would you like to do to increase the pace of the game? Okay, so there are a number of things you can bring up. How about limit trips to the mound? Anytime a catcher or infielder goes to the mound, that's a visit. Second one, he's gone, pitcher. Keeping batters in the box between pitch timer, maybe 15, 20 seconds, whatever it may be. Quicker challenges. Get the guys in New York to respond to those challenges maybe a little more quickly. Variety of ways, but I think a lot of fans would love to see a little brisker pace.
Ball 1 to Jed Lowry. He opened the game with a single on a broken bat. And skims one foul there. 1 ball, 1 strike. We were noodling that around before the game tonight, right?
Yeah.
And I came up with an idea. I don't know if you like it or not. Because people are seemingly kind of unhappy with the time it takes to do a replay review quite often. If it takes 3 minutes or 2.5, something like that. We could put a time limit on that replay review. We'll say 1 minute.
Well, we were thoroughly impressed with what you said, and actually we're just talking about it there about the guys quickening the pace in New York. Pretty good bunt right there by Jed Lowry.
Lowry's 2 for 2 with that bunt single.
You know, we've seen Jed do this in the past. If you give him a freebie, he's going to take it. And to me, that's smart baseball. That's how you try to start an inning.
Hit number 2 for Oakland, both by Lowry. Now it's Davis. Davis struck out earlier. Well, we'll just say that we would put a 1 minute limit on that replay review, and if nothing can be determined to change the call in the field in 1 minute, then it stands.
Look, if you look at a review, you get the best angle and you take a couple of peeks at it, maybe 3. Are you going to learn any more by sitting and watching more? Yeah, I agree with you.
Brett Dolan knows. Brett?
Hey guys, I had a question, and maybe Ash, I'll direct this to you. I was at a AA game last week where they had the pitch clock. Do you ever think we'll see a pitch clock at the Major League level?
It's going to have to get through the Players Association. I think that's where the battle lies. But frankly, I think it's a very good thing. You make that pace more palatable for everybody. And, you know, there are some pitchers that'll tell you, you can't change me. This is the way I do business. Well, actually, I think if you change the rules, you can change people. And I think it would be a good thing. But I think it's a great question that Brett brings up. What is the amount of time on that minor league pitch clock?
I think it's 20 seconds. Now, it stops when the pitcher goes into his windup, so the runner doesn't have an advantage. He can't time it, so to speak. But they also do it in the SEC, certain college leagues. So they're really trying to get the younger players, even the younger professional players, used to it. Of course, you know, sometimes things change once guys get here to the big league level.
Now 2-2 to Davis with Reddick on deck.
See, I think you could actually shave it well under 20 seconds personally, but you know, at some point, if you make some guys speed it up, the guys that tend to be a half a minute between pitches or even more, it's got to be a good thing.
A late swing and a strikeout. Number 3 for Colin.
Yeah, there's a comment here on Twitter that one way to speed up a game would be to allow only 5 foul balls after the second strike, and the 5th becomes a 3rd strike. I don't know. That becomes a little bit dicey, but it's an intriguing thought.
We could come up with a lot of different ways to speed up games, of course. Josh Reddick bounced into a force play. That's strike 1 to Reddick.
Games used to be quicker on the clock than they are today. You go back into the 70s and whatever, but back in those days there was a tendency for maybe a guy like Carlton Fisk to spend a lot of time at the mound, and even the players in the dugouts hated it.
Yes. So I think you're hitting on it here, because baseball is a wonderful sport. It's a conversational sport. The lulls give people a chance to talk, and that's something that they don't have in the other sports by and large. Nonetheless, there is some dead time that can be cut out. Correa handles the pop up for out number 3. It's no runs, a hit, and a man left. No score. Partner Alan Ashby celebrating a birthday along with Bobby Dynamite, Wolfgang Puck,
Really?
Houston, Bacon, and Beck.
Kevin Bacon, I'm well less than 6 degrees divided or separated from Kevin Bacon there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Bobby Dynamite, of course, an institution here at Minute Maid Park.
I wish Beck would lend me some of those musical skills.
That is Glenn Beck, right? We're talking about?
Probably not. Probably not.
All right. A.J. Reed is the batter. No base runners through 2 innings against Daniel Mingden. And that is ball 1 on the changeup. 138 for Reed, 2 homers, 4 runs batted in. What do you plan to do on your birthday, Ash?
I'm going to do a ball game with Bill Brown.
Oh, baby.
I have some very high sights set.
Can't you find something fun?
Doesn't get any better than that, Brownie.
How about playing the guitar?
That should be a part of everybody's day every day.
Shaking the signs from Stephen Vogt. See what Mingden comes up with on 2-0. Ooh, 3 balls, no strikes.
A little bit of a running fastball, much like that of Colin McHugh, and going to miss the corner.
Reed knew his strike zone. And he takes a 4-pitch walk to become the first Houston base runner. Do you remember any special birthdays as a kid, Ash?
That should be a question that would elicit an answer, but I can't say that I've. Well, yes, actually.
Okay.
I remember pitching in Little League, and I gave up my only runs of the season this one day. A home run a friend of mine hit, And it led me to tears, but it was my birthday, and I brought that kid and others back to the house, and we all celebrated and had ice cream together. And when it was all said and done, it was a good day, but only runs of the year allowed. That was tough.
Jake Marisnick takes strike one. 179 for Jake. 1 homer, 7 runs batted in. You may not have been with us earlier. You might be wondering why Colby Rasmus is not playing with a right-hander on the mound. Ear infection. That's tough. Tears on your birthday, but then ice cream makes them all go away.
Yeah, I completely disprove that there's no crying in baseball theory, but
what did that put your ERA at for the season?
Actually, I couldn't tell you, but only because I don't give out numbers like that. But man, giving up a home run, 2-run shot.
He got hit by the pitch, and now runners at first and second, and nobody out for Jason Castro.
Then you have to give the culprit cake.
Did you throw him a cookie so he could hit one?
No, I threw him a good yacker, and apparently he was guessing yacker.
Marisnick takes one for the team. And now Castro will try to capitalize. .212 batting average, 6 homers, 21 runs batted in. Ed Buckner says that Ash taught him some great Van Halen riffs on the guitar.
You know, I have to tell you about Ed Buckner. I managed to somehow do a little TV some years ago. Ed was a cameraman, and he was pinched into duty to do weather. And he has since become a long-time great weather guy. And so, yeah, really cool. But we broke out the guitars way back when.
You didn't teach us any riffs.
You have not shown that desire to learn.
You are correct, sir.
Thanks to Ed Buckner.
That's a foul ball.
That's right on the hands.
You bet. And it's 0-2 now for Mingden. Those who know Daniel say he is not intimidated whatsoever about pitching this game tonight.
Well, he looks like a guy that, you know, just is going to do it his way. The Raleigh Fingers mustache, the Wayback Machine is utilized to come up with the delivery style. And
we understand he has about 100 family and friends here tonight. Curve, he got him looking. Strikeout number 2. Mingden was traded last year in the Scott Kazmir deal.
Yeah, right over the top with that curveball, a good one.
Brad Dolan.
Don't know if you heard his interview in the pregame show, guys, but he was talking about the disappointment of being traded away from the Houston Astros organization. He said the running joke in Lancaster was that he had a security blanket because he was a Houston area product, and he joked, I was the first one out the door.
Could have been a really good break for him, though. George Springer grounded out earlier. In for strike 1. You know, most guys who are 23 years old, got drafted a couple of years ago, if they had a choice of getting to the big leagues quicker, even though they have a shot, you know, they're a member of a minor league club of their home team organization, they want to get to the big leagues as fast as possible.
It's the only place to play.
0-2.
Just fastball run in on the hands. Hey, by the way, I noticed that somebody mentioned great teammate Terry Poole. Same birthday shared. Happy birthday to Terry Poole.
Happy birthday, Terry Poole. That's a strikeout, and that's 3 in this game for Mingden.
This good old country hardball right down the middle. Not often that George is going to get cheated.
88th strikeout of the year for George Springer. Marwin Gonzalez Had a fly ball to left in the first inning. Reads the runner at second with Marisnick at first and 2 outs. Valencia even with a bag at third for Marwin, who's been known to bunt. In for strike one. A 2-out bunt would be a surprise in a situation like this. However, Altuve's on deck. At it, and he's worked the count to 1-1.
That's a pretty good looking pitch. Changeup drifts across the plate. Yeah, that's a great pitch.
Does have that movement down and away from a left-handed batter with his change. Marwin's hitting .204 with men in scoring position, .231 with 2 outs and men in scoring position this year. 1-2. With all the injuries on this Oakland club, that's one reason Daniel Mingden gets a chance to move into the starting rotation.
We're seeing more than a youngster who has command of a fastball and is trying to find other pitches. He's showing some savvy. Don't get carried away with the great guitarist comparisons out there now.
Oh, they will. A strikeout means he has struck out the side, and that's 4-9 for Mingden. And he has a no-hitter through 3. Happy birthday, Alan Ashby. You've got a scoreless game through 3.
Make memories at an Astros ball game with our family-friendly activities every Sunday home game presented by Kroger. The next Sunday home game this season is this coming Sunday, July 10th, when the Astros take on the A's. For more information, visit astros.com/Sundays or call 1-877-9-ASTROS.
We have one of those coming up. Finale before the All-Star break. It's 0-0. 2 hits in the game, both by Oakland's Lowry. Here's hit number 3, though. It comes from Valencia. Leading it off in the 4th inning. He puts a single out into right field. Valencia now 1 for 2, and he's aboard for Stephen Vogt.
It's a good hitter right there. Back-to-back years now with the A's. He's put up very good numbers when healthy. Handles pitches out of the strike zone even. And a dangerous hitter.
Vogt hit a fly ball to left in the 2nd inning. The A's have scored 4 runs or fewer in each of the last 7 games. In for strike one. In the month of July, Oakland is hitting 197 as a team with 18 runs scored. Around to bunt, Vogt fouls it. What happened?
I don't know. You forced this one on me.
Okay.
Ronnie. Happy birthday from Beck.
Beck. Okay. Well, you know, we're hearing from all over about your birthday, Ash.
Yeah.
It's great that so many people are chiming in.
I think there's a mistake there somehow.
Okay. Well, a mistake on our
Imagine
broadcast?
that. Yeah.
Out to right center field, and that ball is going to go a long way. Nobody there. It bounces off the wall, comes up on Towles Hill. Valencia scoring. Vogt into third without a throw. 1-0 Oakland. Well, Vogt on the 0-2 pitch delivered. That's his second triple of the year. RBI number 25 for Stephen Vogt.
Gets that curveball that is such a good one, but when you weight back with your hands and handle it, it winds up making it look like it's a hanger. It was not. Just really good hitting by Stephen Vogt. And well placed is on top of all of that.
The infield comes in for Billy Butler now. Butler drew a walk in the second inning. That's hit number 4 for the A's. First pitch curve. There's strike one to Butler. Yonder Alonso's on deck. Texas and Minnesota tied 2-2, top of the third inning. Cole Hamels on the mound. Ground ball hit to the left side. It's 2-0 Oakland on the single by Butler. That's 3 straight hits for Oakland. Butler gets his 22nd run batted in.
Yeah, we were talking last night about the Oakland A's. Offensively, certainly they've got some guys that can make life dangerous for the pitchers. I think there's a tendency to look at a team's 1-loss record and maybe just kind of cast them off, say this is a series you should sweep, but you're gonna have to perform well against these guys.
That's what it comes down to. Yonder Alonso is a strikeout on the card so far. He fouls that one for strike one. Cole Hamels trying to give the Rangers a better start than they've been getting the last few days. He's given up 3 hits and 2 earned runs in 2 1/3. Kyle Gibson is his mound opponent for Minnesota tonight, and it's tied 2-2 in the top of the third. Now 1 ball 1 strike as we go up to the All-Star break. It's Lance McCullers and Kendall Graveman tomorrow at 3:10. Dallas Keuchel and Sean Manaea Sunday at 1:10. And then going into the break, things will be reevaluated for the Astros rotation. Marwin backhanded flip. Correa turning it. 4-6-3 double play on Alonso.
Marwin was almost in no man's land on this effort to get the double play. That was a long backhanded flip, but well done. Set up Correa with an easy shot. Now look, Alonso's not going to put any heat on you with the speed, but I think Marwin really had to consider, am I in a spot where the backhand makes sense?
Yes.
But he made it work.
Simeon's the batter. He looks at strike one. He hit a fly ball to center in the second inning. Colin McHugh's made 6 career starts against Oakland. Houston has won 5 of those 6. 0-2.
Got to slip that good fastball by to keep everybody off your curveball. That's for certain.
1 ball 2 strikes. This is the 100th inning of the season for McHugh. Bounces the curve, and it's 2-2. Dallas Keuchels pitched 113. Doug Fister 106. So Colin is the third Houston pitcher to reach this century figure in innings pitched for the year. So shot out to left center field. Gomez looking. That one's going to be high up on the wall. That's a home run, in fact. Semien drills one for home run number 19. It's 3-0 Oakland. 45 runs batted in for Semien. That's his third home run this year against the Astros.
I guess Marcus Semien is just simply making an effort to show us how he had come into this series with 18 bombs. This young man, and not a big guy at all, has some genuine pop. Really cutting off that swing too. Well placed to the right of the line.
3 runs on 6 hits for Oakland. Billy Burns is next. He grounded out earlier. Curveball works for strike 1. The rookie Daniel Mingden, who's not given up a hit through 3, now has a 3-run lead. Buena's on the grass. 1-1. Oakland serving notice in this series after winning 3-1 last night. This is not a patsy team for the final game, or 2 or 3 or 4 before the All-Star break. There's one to Valbuena's right in the foul territory. And it's a 3-run fourth for the A's on 4 hits. They lead it 3-0. Mingden, a reminder as you enjoy a cold one to look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game. It's brought to you by Miller Lite. Mingden has struck out 4. He's walked 1 and hit a batter through the first 3. Aggie friends welcoming him back home. He faces Jose Altuve, who grounded out on a 3-2 pitch. Altuve pops it back. There's strike 1.
Just heard a little snippet of ballpark organ music. Are you a big fan?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How about yourself?
You know, it was a part of the game years ago. I probably have graduated or sunk. I'm not sure which way you want to look at it.
Was it Jim Connors who was the organist?
Oh, yes, back here in the old Astrodome days.
Yeah,
yes.
and he's come back to play here a few times
What
on
a great,
special nights.
great memory on your part.
Well, you met him, you know him, right?
Sure.
Good guy. Plays extremely well. 2 balls and a strike.
Some of the ballparks are about modern kind of music over loudspeakers, and some are about organ music.
Well, you grew up in Dodger Stadium, right?
Sure. And like I say, it was the sound of Major League Baseball back then for me.
And you had who? Helen Dell for all those years, and now they have Nancy B. Heffley.
What do? You write these names in diaries or what?
Oh, we get to meet them. Broken bat looper to shallow center field. That's in for a hit, and it's the first Houston hit of the night. We've had a lot of broken bat hits the last few days.
Now, Jose's kind of in that mode right now where he might need a broken bat single to unleash the beast. Got in on him a bit. Break out with a broken bat.
Mingden's pattern has been, he's been dominant the first time through the order. As he's faced the lineup for the first time, the slugging percentage that first time through against him is .190. Carlos Correa grounded to third in the second inning. But yeah, they still have the old-fashioned organist to every game at Dodger Stadium.
They've got some speakers, loudspeakers there that will bring it at you. I don't know about the booming organ before the ball game, but you're into the loud music.
You would like the booming guitar music, correct?
Yeah, probably. Depending.
That's hit well, way back into center field. Watch this one go. That's a 2-run bomb. Carlos Correa, number 14, and it's 3-2.
That's actually the kind of music I prefer at the yard.
A lot of variety.
Very nice.
14 homers, 54 runs batted in for Carlos Correa.
That swing was needed. This ball club, you know, you get hot a lot of times because one or two guys get you going.
He is now at 35 career home runs with the Astros, tied with Adam Everett for the all-time career lead in home runs by a Houston shortstop. Luis Valbuena takes strike one. And it's a 1-run lead now for Mingden. That was a no-doubter. We've seen tape measure shots on this homestand. Ash Valbuena's hit a couple into the upper deck.
Yeah, we really did. Some of the left-hand hitters in that Seattle series. We're getting out in the big part of the yard there where Correa took it.
That's a long drive over that 404 sign. Valbuena looks at it. It's 1-2 to Luis. The Astros now have 111 home runs for the year. They're 6th in the American League in long balls. Move over Adam Everett. 2-2.
Yeah, that was inevitable. And no telling where those numbers go from here.
Yes, very quickly reached that #1 spot for a career in home runs by an Astros shortstop.
Well, he's already 21.
Struck him out. That's number 5. He came up June 8th of last year, so just a little bit over a year it took him to move into a tie for the #1 spot.
Time now to take a look at the Academy homers for Houston as they benefit the Houston Children's Charity for the home runs before the All-Star break. This year 111, last year 124. So last 3 years it certainly has been a ball club that hits the long ball. Well, let's add a few more to that, more than a few.
And the Astros strike again. Correa #1. Go Gomez. Root Sports. Altuve. Right on that sign. Gomez with strike one. Grounded back to the pitchers. First time up.
It's a really unusual swing, and it's happened a number of times for Carlos where the bottom hand comes off the bat.
More bad news for the New York Mets. Noah Syndergaard has left with an apparent injury in the 5th inning tonight against the Nationals. Right after Matt Harvey with the thoracic outlet syndrome may have gone down for the year.
Seems like not long after a team throws 4, 5, 6 guys together as the great, this is going to be the great pitching core of the future, and injuries start to happen once again.
Right. 2-2. Remember that Generation K Mets pitching staff?
Sure. It's a good slider. We haven't seen a lot of that.
Oh, knocked him down. He recovered and tossed to first base. He got drilled. Now he gets rid of the glove. Daniel Mengden on that line drive by Gomez. Boy, that one really stung him. It didn't knock him down. He knocked the ball down with his body. And that's a chest area apparently where it got him. Rib cage. Where is it?
That's it's a dicey area.
Rubbing his left chest.
Yeah.
Pitcher has so little reaction time. Right in his follow through, and the ball's on top of him. And that ball was really stung by Gomez.
Everybody reacts. They make the play, but did that ball catch some leather?
It did.
It sure looked like it, and
Yep.
that could be the saving grace on that play.
Or did it?
Yeah, that view made it look otherwise, didn't it?
Sure did. Looked like it caught his left chest. And let's see what the course of action is. He's going to try to throw. Now there is no way this young man wants to come out of this game leading in the 4th inning before the home crowd, family and friends of 100 or so who came out to see him.
That's what you want to see at the ballpark, is a bunch of the youngsters. That's the look that I think we're always trying to find.
Could have been you at Dodger Stadium a few birthdays ago, Ash.
It's a few back, yes. Took in a couple of Sandy Koufax no-hitters. Man, you're right, Brownie. That 54 feet away from home plate on a line drive is not a good place to be.
Jed Lowry with a smile for him. He's back to work. It's amazing the resolve that these pitchers have to stay in the game. Well, especially a starting pitcher working every 5th day. He just doesn't feel like it's something he should do in many cases unless he's really in bad shape. A.J. Reed walked earlier. Curveball, strike 1. You know, you talk to these guys and they say, well, I'm letting the team down if I come out of a game like that.
And from what we hear about Mengden, he has that type of mentality.
Yes. This time the breaker does not find the strike zone. It's 1-1 to Reed.
It's close.
In that Nationals Mets game, it's 3-0 Nationals, top of the 5th inning. Steven Strasburg has 4 no-hit innings. Syndergaard out after 4 2/3 now. 1-2 to Reed.
I'm impressed with that changeup. He's got the other pitches. He's got 4 pitches we've seen tonight. Command of the strike zone.
Much tougher on right-handed hitters this year. Lefties are hitting 286 off him.
Good looking local product.
That's foul back. And there was a catcher in the deal too. Jacob Nottingham was traded along with Mengden to Oakland last July for Scott Kazmir, but Nottingham has since been flipped to Milwaukee.
He's a guy that was viewed as a real good hitter, maybe a guy that might become a first baseman DH type.
in the dirt, and Reed checked his swing. The appeal went down to the third base umpire, DJ Rayburn. It's 2-2. The Astros hit .221 in their first 7 games against Oakland this season. That one goes foul.
Now, if you're going to get the changeup, that's the one you want as a hitter. That changeup that stays up closer to eye level. I bet A.J. Reed is kind of kicking himself, thinking he missed one that should be hit hard.
Jake Marisnick's in the on-deck circle. Foul pop. Valencia running out of room. Tries to reach in, but cannot get there. Cleveland's pounding the Yankees 10-1 in the top of the 8th. Game at Cleveland. Corey Kluber on the mound. Struck him out. That's number 6. 2-run scoring on the Correa 2-run homer. It's 3-2 Oakland after 4. Astros baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By H-E-B, no store does more than my H-E-B. And by Toyota, let's go places. It is hot. Athletics 3, Astros 2. We go to the 5th inning, no problem inside here, as it's a 1-run lead, and all the scoring came in that 4th. So pitchers talk about this all the time. They had given up 3, Colin McHugh, and then their club scored 2 for them in the bottom half. This is a really big inning. Try to put a stop on Oakland for Colin McHugh. Jed Lowry's 2 for 2. He dropped down a bunt single in the 3rd inning. Slashes this one foul. There's strike 1.
Now that's the look I would love to feature, but that's just not happening anymore.
Well, a few birthdays ago, you were right there, Ash.
Define a few.
1-1. Say 4. You're laughing. It's that
Always.
silent laugh.
Yeah.
That you have.
Here's my look, Ronnie.
Oh,
now
yeah.
I realize you folks at home can't see it, but it's not exactly what we saw from the young man that looked so good there.
Good curveball.
Pulled back on it, 271 miles an hour.
Cubs 4, Pirates 3, bottom of the 7th inning in Pittsburgh. Big series for the Buccos. Lowry takes it, and it's ball 2. Since the Astros claimed Colin McHugh on a waiver claim, he's 35-22 with a 3.63 ERA for them. Inside for ball 3. He has that poker face.
It's the baby assassin.
You know, people talk about that. Well, a pitcher should have a poker face, right? Can't let the opponent see that something is bothering him. You've worked with some pretty expressive guys out there, though, facially, haven't you? Does it really make a difference?
I worked with some guys that were never bothered because they were simply better than the hitters. Really blessed to play with some terrific pitchers. Needn't run through the list of the guys, but one of them got a hold of me tonight, Mike Scott. Great to hear from Mike and Vicky.
A.J. Reed takes it, 1 out. We go to Brett Dolan.
Create memories, have fun, and enjoy a premium experience with an Astros luxury suite at Minute Maid Park. Whether you're treating your employees, hosting clients, or celebrating a special occasion like a birthday, we'll create an experience your group is sure to remember. Visit Astros.com/suites or call 1-877-9-ASTROS to reserve your luxury suite today. And speaking of Ash's birthday, was there cake tonight? Because if I miss cake, I'm really going to be fired up.
No, you didn't miss cake.
You didn't miss a bit of
Okay.
cake, so
Well, shoot.
settle in.
Okay.
Chris Davis fouls it back, strike 1. Ash doesn't like cake.
Plenty of humiliating photos on Twitter, but aside from that,
That one of you when you were 3 years old playing the guitar without a shirt on was interesting.
I had had a large meal prior to that concert.
That's one of McHugh. And Josh Reddick will be next. No, Ash doesn't like sweets, Brett, so we're not going to be doing that tonight.
There is you're supposed to maintain that truth in advertising and everything else, credo. So
well done by Colin. Now it's Reddick. Reddick is 0 for 2. Adam Jones hit his 17th home run for Baltimore. In for a strike. Jonathan Scope, number 14, and the Birds do not get much from Ubaldo Jimenez. 1 1/3 innings, 5 hits, 5 earned runs. Ouch. He's really hurt them this year to the tune of a 7.38 ERA. 1-1. So the expectation is Baltimore will add a starting pitcher, right?
so you say.
Marwin Gonzalez takes care of a quick 5th inning. Colin McHugh does put that stop on Oakland to keep the score at 3-2 Athletics.
Telecast is presented by authority of Houston Astros, LLC, and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Houston Astros, LLC.
3-2, the Athletics lead. Jake Marisnick fouls it. There's strike one. He was hit by a pitch in the third inning. Daniel Mengden with the lead, shooting for his second major league win. Gave up a 2-run homer to Carlos Correa the last inning. And then he was drilled on the upper left chest by a Carlos Gomez line drive. He threw out Gomez, stayed in the game, and struck out Reed. Now it's a 1-1 count. Blue Jays lead the Tigers 2-0 at Toronto. They're in the bottom of the 7th inning now. Jay Happ went the first 5 2/3 against Mike Pelfrey. One and two for Mengden. Progressively, the hitters have caught on to him. If you take his first 5 major league starts as a whole, they've slugged a lot better the third time through the order against him. A shot into left field. Marisnick is aboard with a leadoff single. That's hit number 3 for the Astros.
He's getting a little more playing time here recently and coming up with a few hits.
Yeah, he usually does not start against a right-handed pitcher, but with Rasmus ill tonight, he gets this opportunity.
You know, last year we saw Jake launch 9 home runs. He had a chance late in the year to be one of those guys, double digits with the long ball. Big, strong guy, and we know all the attributes that he has. If he could come up with that hitting game, well, he really makes himself extremely valuable.
His legs might work in this inning. Jason Castro struck out in the third. Marisnick is a good base stealer. Oh, he was leaning a little bit on that throw to first by Mengden. Now, you might think that we're mispronouncing Mengden's name because it's M-E-N-G-D-E-N. Sounds like it should be Mengden, right? Or it looks like it should be Mengden. But it's Mengden. Strike one to Castro.
We has been schooled. So is Jason Castro with that high heater.
Yeah. Well, Oakland, in making that deal for Kazmir, reeled in a couple of young players, and that might be the direction Billy Beane will take with this club. He has spoken in glowing terms of what the Astros have done with building through the farm system. Certainly, if the Oakland club wants to go that route before the trade deadline, there are some good chips, such as the guy who pitched last night, Rich Hill. One and one. Have given the Astros fits down through the years of their all-time season series. They have a winning percentage against the Astros of .614 with a 43-27 record. Rip foul. You know, the best record that one team has against another, with at least 60 games between the two, is the Rangers versus the Astros. Rangers are 89-50 against the Astros, a .640 winning percentage. That's better than the number 2 matchup, the Braves versus the Rockies. The Braves have a .622 winning percentage against the Rockies.
Well, that's just simply got to be turned around.
Yeah, the Astros would love to comply. 2 balls, 2 strikes. They're getting there, but they had a rough start. They were 5-25 against Oakland when they moved to the American League.
You're talking about a couple of lean years, 13 and 14.
Bay Rays are playing at Boston. Red Sox lead them 5-4. They're in the middle of the 7th inning. Sean O'Sullivan started for Boston against Chris Archer. Archer's still in there. Flared out over shortstop. Here's Simeon, and that's in for a hit. Marisnick will get to third. Good read by Marisnick. It's first and third, nobody out on the pop fly single by Castro.
You know how times you'll see a clean base hit that nobody's going to touch, and a base runner will freeze? This is the antithesis right here. Watch Jake Marisnick. Reads it now and gone. And that would be in that area of tough read.
Yes.
Tonight's defensive outfield rankings are brought to you by Lexus. As we take a look around at the outfield of the Oakland A's. Well, that's not their outfield, maybe surprisingly, but Billy Burns in center field. You can run on him. Doesn't throw all that well. Nonetheless, a very good outfielder. Chris Davis, that guy you might have the coin flip on, and Josh Reddick. He's a very good right fielder, is Josh Reddick. As we continue to take a look at Billy Burns.
Well, Asho, you bring up an excellent point, though, on the base running. And that is what Marisnick was able to do, determine that that would not be caught. We talk about base running and think about steals all the time, but a move like that can be a difference maker, going first to third on a ball hit that way. Now it's George Springer. Springer's 0 for 2. That's strike one, but getting Marisnick to third with nobody out would really make a difference.
But you know, we talk about guys with instincts. Jake is one of those guys. He's got the wheels to back it up, but he tends to make good things happen on the bases.
In tight to George. 1 ball and 1 strike. We've seen a lot of kids out here tonight.
Probably wouldn't choose to use red ink on red paper. Let's see.
They came from Georgia's home state of Connecticut.
What?
You don't like the color scheme?
On the one board was a little tough to read.
All right. 2 balls and a strike. Well, you know what? It's your birthday, so you get to decide what we do tonight.
You are a tough partner, you know that?
Your parents ever tell you that? Well, Ash, it's your birthday today, so we get to do exactly what you want.
I'm not sure I've ever heard those words.
Springer takes a strike, and it's 2-2.
2-1 on a guy, and then paint a slider down and away.
Marwin Gonzalez is on deck. Double play depth for Simeon and Lowry. Springer pokes it foul. What did they call you, Little Ash, or what did they call you in your household when you were growing up?
I don't think I had ascended to Ashdom in those days, but
all right.
Yeah, I think I'm going to retain what some of my friends called me.
Well, we know that one nickname, but we're not allowed to mention that on the air.
Yeah, the one you were completely in the dark about.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, you can retain that one.
Now it's 3-2.
Contact essential right here.
First pitch strikes to 14 of 19. For Daniel Mingden, big pitch coming here. Astros have had the leadoff man on in each of the last 3 innings, and that has forced him into the stretch quite a bit after that elongated windup we saw earlier. David Ortiz hit his 21st homer tonight for Boston. Springer puts it in the air, foul, and out of play for George. We got word that he received more votes on Twitter than any other player today. Today was the only day there was voting on Twitter. And he got more votes than any of the candidates.
Well, wait a minute now. They say it's how you finish that counts.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's it.
So that's a lie.
It is a lie.
Man.
We propagate lies all the time. Marisnick and Castro hoping Springer can find something he likes here. Ball 4 though, loads the bases from Marwin Gonzalez. That's the 48th walk to Springer. Second walk of the night for Mingden.
Brownie, we have donned some new hairdos apparently. Yeah.
What are we looking like? Okay, I see. It is rally time. Base is loaded. And it's up to Marwin to try to get Marisnick home in some fashion. He's 0 for 2. With Altuve on deck. Now, an at bat like this can really be something we could look back on at the end of the night and say that was what did it. Getting the runner home from third, tie the game, at least.
I think we're hoping for big inning right here.
A hit to center field. Marisnick scores the tying run. Here's a throw from Burns. It's 3-3. RBI number 24. And when he comes through with nobody out, that really looks like a big inning now in progress. But he got that tying run home without making that out that left him at third.
First pitch swinging. Marwin right after a changeup that stays up for him a little bit. Unlike A.J. Reed earlier, he was able to stay back with the hands and line it right back up the middle. Yeah, it's 90 feet at a time with that one. But that's 90 feet you'll gladly take.
Marwin ties the game with his 24th run batted in. Now it's Jose Altuve. Liam Hendricks is warming up in the bullpen for Oakland, a right-hander. Altuve's 1 for 2, a single to center on a broken back. Ground ball roll to shortstop. Semien to second. Lowry not in time. The run scores to give the Astros a 4-3 lead. Altuve gets his 50th run batted in.
50 RBIs and coming hard. It's not a base hit, but it's a run producer. And now in that 3 spot, Jose, he's got a shot at 100 on the year. You're not going to double up that speed. Well, now you've got the shop set up to pick up at least one more in the inning would be the ideal. Well, maybe not the ideal, but the way you'd go about business now.
The Astros now have 3 players with 50 runs batted in or more. Last time they had 3 with at least 50 at the All-Star break was in 03 when Lance Berkman had 59, Richard Hidalgo 50, and Jeff Kent 50.
Wow. What a great trio to compare yourselves with.
Correa, who hit the 2-run homer in the 4th, now has 54. Springer 51, Altuve 50. Lefty Mark Zepchinski has gotten up with Valbuena on deck. Correa ripped that 2-run shot in the 4th inning. Now runners at first and third as he bats with 1 out in the 5th. Altuve might be thinking about a steal. Does not have a big lead though. It's strike 1. Pitches here in the 5th after the 24-pitch 4th inning. And he got drilled by that line drive from Gomez in the chest in that inning. Correa couldn't hold back, and that's a swing for an 0-2 count. Kerwin Danley with the call.
Yeah, the bat starts. Thing is, when you watch Correa, there's no panic in the fact that it's 0-2. But this is a big at bat.
Well, we've seen him do it so many times. When he has 2 strikes in the count, that runner on third, he'll hit a fly ball to right field. 1-2. Has a good approach. You're right. He does not panic. Texas leads Minnesota 4-2. They're in the bottom of the fourth now in Arlington. There's a shot into center field. 5-3. Here's the throw to third on Altuve. It's cut off. Throw back to second. Now a rundown on Correa. And they look at third. And now it's Altuve coming to the plate. Here's the throw from Semien. The tag. And Vogt put the tag on him to get him out at home plate.
If you're Altuve, there's nothing else you can do. You're going to get an out on that play, but you might as well force the hand toward the plate, and Altuve makes it very close. But Carlos Correa heading into second base, you'd have to call that the mistake on the play. And there's where we saw Billy Burns' arm being run on the base hit. But only so much you can do on the bases when the defense plays it well. And the A's did play that well.
They'll make a pitching change. Correa picked up the RBI single with Springer scoring on that one. And then he went into second, and it's now 5-3. Back in a moment. Play on that one, but Correa got the RBI single. Ash,
what a job this young man is doing now as the cleanup hitter on the club, acting like the cleanup hitter with the bat. Yeah, a lot of people can act like it. He's getting it done, but did make a mistake, I think, on the base paths. Just tried to make a little too much happen and force the hand of Jose Altuve, who simply had to see if the Astros could make a little lemonade out of a lemon.
Well, that does it for Daniel Mingden. Now Mark Zepchinski with no wins or losses. 4 holds, has a 3.62 ERA. And the veteran lefty comes in to face Luis Valbuena, who's 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. Correa got an RBI single on that, and on the rundown play, Altuve was thrown out. 8-6-4-3-6-2 on that play at the plate. 5 runs on 6 hits for the Astros now. In for a strike. They got 2 in the 4th, and they have come up with 3 so far here in the 5th with 4 hits. Valbuena is the 7th Astro to bat in this 5th inning. Carlos Gomez on deck. That's a liner into left for a hit. Correa around third. He's coming to the plate to make it 6-3 on the RBI single by Valbuena.
Pretty hitting by Luis Valbuena. Had there been a situation where Carlos Correa was unable to score on this particular play, he was going to be awarded home plate. I believe the third base umpire, DJ Rayburn, called interference on Danny Valencia down at third, who just simply got in the way, but yeah, just enjoy some gorgeous hitting by Valbuena right here.
Yep.
And there's the call that says Correa scores. If something goes wrong, Correa scores.
Valbuena scored him anyway, and his hitting streak is now 5 games. That's his 33rd run batted in, and he's been one of the guys who's picked up the pace the last few weeks. Carlos Gomez is 0 for 2. Valencia takes care of that one, and 8 Astros come to the plate here in the 4-run 5th inning on 5 hits. They leave a man, and they go up with the big frame, 6-3.
The 2016 Coca-Cola Astros Buddy memberships are on sale for only $25. Buddies members receive a voucher for 4 tickets to a select Astros game, front of the line access to Kids Run the Bases, exclusive player autograph sessions, and more. Visit Astros.com/buddies for all the details and to purchase a membership for your kids up to 12 years old.
Thanks, Brett Dolan. This game is turned around. The Astros leading it now 6-3. Oakland coming up in the 6th inning. Danny Valencia will get it started. He singled and scored in the 4th. He's 1 for 2. Infield is overshifted on him. The curveball came in high. There's ball 1. McHugh had a 1-2-3 5th after the Astros got 2 in the 4th. And they came right back with 4 more in the 5th inning themselves. Foul back. It's a 1-ball 1-strike count.
Brownie, was that obstruction or interference on that play at third base?
Oh, let's see.
Because I don't know. I mean,
I think technically it's obstruction.
Okay.
Where an infielder blocks the path of the base runner. Foul back 1-2. We don't see that call much at all, do we?
And actually, this one was unusual because the third baseman was actually trying to make a play on the ball, wound up in a spot where he was obstructing, possibly interfering, depending on which county you happen to be in at the time.
Fly ball out to center field. Gomez is waiting. That's out number 1. We go to Brett Dolan.
Guys, if you'd like to see obstruction called maybe on every single play, I would invite you out to my 10-year-old daughter's softball games. It's about every other play. There's a girl standing on a base. So if you need to get your obstruction fill, I've got the place for you to be.
So that would be a good place for an obstruction tutorial.
That's right. 10U softball. You see it about 5 times a game.
Okay.
Now, can we mix in some interference so we can make sure we get the 2 correctly called?
I'm sure they can handle that. Stephen Vogt has an RBI triple in 2 trips. There is strike 1 to Vogt. An all-star again this year for the 2nd straight year. Daniel Mingden in 4 2/3 innings allowed 6 hits, 6 runs. He walked 2 and fanned 6 through 91 pitches, 59 strikes. Foul back, and it's 0-2. That's a tough game for him, the way he had things rolling, and then he got drilled by that Gomez liner. He tried to fight through the 5th inning, just couldn't quite get there.
Yeah, you wonder, was that the turning point? Stuff was good. I thought it was impressive what he was able to bring.
It was good stuff. 1-2. That's in the air, foul out of play. Before the game here tonight, the Astros and members of the Houston Police Department held a moment of silence for the fallen officers from the Dallas Police Department. It's 2 balls, 2 strikes. Yep. Tough times. Up the middle and into center field. Vogt is 2 for 3.
Guy's a pretty good hitter. Cullen tries to slip a fastball away. That on by, just couldn't get it done.
Each club with 7 hits now. Billy Butler singled in a run. He got a hit between 3rd and short back in the 4th inning after walking in the 2nd. Colin McHugh is trying to square his record at 6-6. Pounds it in there, and there's strike 1. Collins 3-3 at home with a 4.30 ERA. Valbuena down on a knee. He feeds Marwin Gonzalez plenty of time to turn 2. 5-4-3 double play. The Astros have turned 2 of those tonight with Marwin at second base. And the Astros lead it.
Join us in Keuchel's Corner, presented by Houston Methodist. That's this Sunday, July 10th, to show your support for our Cy Young Award-winning pitcher Mr. Dallas Keuchel. With this package, you get a ticket, beard, and a Keuchel's Corner t-shirt. For more information, visit Astros.com/Keuchel's Corner or call 1-877-9-ASTROS.
That's quite a fan experience. A.J. Reed bounces to first base. Two hopper there to Alonso. That's out number one here in the home 6th inning. Reed is 0 for 2 with a walk. Sepchinski getting that out. And Marisnick will bat. Jake was the one who got that 4-run rally started with his single to left field in the 5th inning. Then he made that excellent read on the hit to center by Castro, going first to third. Andrew Triggs is warming up now in the Oakland bullpen. Well, we certainly want to thank everybody who voted for George Springer. People really overextended themselves. They went out of their way to vote for George. And it was a good experience. Some people said they voted more than 1,000 times. 1 ball, 1 strike. And we've been asked, do we have the final numbers? No, we don't. And Gene Diaz said he was going to try to find out, but at one point he thought that Georgia might have finished second in all of the voting with the 5 National League candidates and 5 American League candidates. And Michael Saunders got something like 11 million votes.
Like 30+ million people in Canada, and apparently they came out in full force.
That one came up and got the mask of Stephen Vogt after it bounced. They certainly did. Yep. So congratulations to Michael Saunders. He is deserving. So was George Springer. Three balls, 2 strikes. Who knows? Maybe there will be an injury. Maybe George will be named to the team. Sometimes that happens.
You know, it also brings you into the public consciousness a little bit more, and people vote for you next year.
Davis in left. 2 outs. Elena Rodriguez apparently has seen Dave Ward behind home plate tonight. We did not see that shot with Dave, and she's asking if that's the legendary Dave Ward. Didn't see that shot, but hopefully Dave is here tonight.
Film at 11.
There's Dave Ward.
There you go, yeah.
He's here.
Central Time at 10.
How long has Dave been doing that anchorman job?
Goodness.
At Channel 13.
I've been in town since '79, and I think he's been the man ever since, or probably no doubt before that.
He truly is legendary. Great professional. It's a wonderful job. Castro fouls at strike 1. Castro's 1 for 2 tonight. Seth Green is asking, why are the Toronto Blue Jays considered an American League team if they play in Canada, Ash?
That's one of those questions that should never be on a pop quiz.
0-2. Michael Beckman tells us obstruction is the act of a fielder who, while not in possession of the ball and not in the act of fielding the ball, impedes progress of runner. Okay. That describes Danny Valencia on that play. Although some people thought it should have been charging. Struck him out, and we go to the 7th inning with the score 6-3 Astros. showing you a 6-3 lead for the Astros, who are 46-40. Colin McHugh in 6 innings has allowed 7 hits and 3 earned runs. In the 5th inning, 5 hits, 1 walk, 4 runs for the Astros as they were able to take the lead there 6-3. And Marcus Semien hit a solo homer. Daniel Mingden and his Minute Maid Park debut, giving up 6 hits and 6 runs in 4 2/3. We now move along to the 7th, and we've been getting some good information on Dave Ward. That Dave started as a news anchor at Channel 13 in 1968. Ash.
Yeah, I've got one that says 66. For me, it kind of doesn't matter. He's been around. He's been part of that news landscape forever here and done such a great job.
Yes. Ball 1 to Yonder Alonso. Alonso's 0 for 2. Correa will not get there. Neither will Gomez. It's in for a pop fly single for Alonso. Okay, he joined the station in '66, but he began anchoring in '68.
Oh, that's the answer. Okay. Deep in the kitchen right here. But you see the slam of the bat. Not to happen right there. Come on, you have to recognize better than that.
Marcus Semien homered in the 4th inning. There's ball 1. Thanks to Ken Hoffman, and he updates us that Dave Ward has not done the 10 p.m. news in a while, and he does an early newscast now. And we have to defer to Ken because we're here at night and we don't get to watch. 2 balls, no strikes.
So he's still doing the 5 then?
I believe he's doing it says an early newscast, so I don't know if it's there's news all the time now. Could be 4, could be 5.
I think it goes national at 6 if I'm not mistaken.
31,438 the paid attendance tonight, so thanks to those who helped us fill in the gaps on Dave Ward's career, so to speak. 3 balls, no strikes.
There have been no gaps in his career.
They really haven't. You're right. You talk about continuity.
Yeah.
Some stirring in the Astros bullpen, and that is ball 4. So Oakland now will get the potential tying run to the plate here in the 7th inning. 4-pitch walk, perhaps an indicator that Colin could be tiring. He's close to 100 pitches, and it'll be Billy Burns. Burns is 0 for 2.
Somebody's saying they voted for George Springer 6,700 plus times.
Wow. AJ is bouncing out of the dugout now. And he's had a right-hander throwing in the bullpen. Not made the move yet. Last night, though, and now he will make the move. Fister with that 8 innings last night really allowed the bullpen to come back into its realignment. 6-3, Houston leading. Back in a moment.
in Astros lead. Let's now check out the results of our Chevy Stro poll. Earlier, we wanted to know what you would do to increase the pace of play in the game. And pretty balanced results tonight voting-wise, but keeping batters in the box at 33% a winner. And I'm not sure how you enforce it, but I think there's no doubt that would speed things up if you could find a way to keep guys in. Of course, then again, how would they bat without adjusting their batting gloves between each and every pitch?
I have an idea, Brett. And I believe those speed-up measures are being instituted in the minor leagues. We'll get to that in a moment. Colin McHugh out of the game. Ken Giles is in. Inheriting runners at first and second. It could be a bunting situation here. Reed and Valbuena certainly think so. They're in tight at the corner infield spots. Burns is 0 for 2. 3-run lead for Houston. And he fouls it away. There's strike one on Burns. So with Giles coming in, and Giles has really been throwing the ball well lately. In 40 games, he's 1-3, a 4.50 ERA. In 7 games since June 21st, he has a 0 ERA and a 130 batting average against.
Well, that leaves him very little room for improvement, Ron.
That's true. 0-2. His slider's devastating.
By the way, disregard previous message. Apparently, Dave Ward does the 6 o'clock news.
Okay.
Apologize for
Well, that's early.
any mistakes there. Yeah.
We don't get to watch.
You're taking batting practice about that time.
Being kicked off the field for impersonating somebody. In tight. 1 ball, 2 strikes. I think that is a good pitch on Billy Burns because, as you know, he likes to lean out and ping that ball to left field on the pitch away. So it's a message not to lean out there. In fact, Marisnik's playing within a few feet of the left field line. Now, Burns really doesn't swing the bat with authority from this side of the plate, but he's looking to poke a line drive to left field. And you see the way they play him. They do not expect him to pull the ball.
Yeah, he would define that slap hitter type guy, especially this side of the plate.
Sure. Slider, and he fouls it.
Right side, he's got a little sting.
So here's a question. So you throw him a slider. Well, that's a pitch he could pull, though. Right?
I used to always hear people talk about slider speed. The bat has slider speed. I'm not sure I bought into that in the game calling. Okay, he's late on the fastball, so why throw him the slider? I always felt like guys could make adjustments on fastball. But, you know, maybe there's something to it. I don't know that I would say Billy Burns has slider bat speed. The slider requires adjustment. If you don't keep your hands back, you're not going to handle it.
Guy like Billy Burns would love to slap the ball to the left side of the infield and beat it out with his speed. He bounces it up the middle. Correa steps on the bag. That's it. No chance to double Burns. So it's 1st and 3rd with 1 out.
Looked to me like Carlos Correa laid back a step on this ground ball. Now with Billy Burns and his speed going down the line, I don't know that there's a shot, but yeah, maybe it was just the angle watching that play from. You see how Carlos actually backed up to take that ground ball. But again, Billy Burns can fly down the line.
Burns has 14 steals in 17 attempts. Jason Castro will give signs to the infielders on coverage here with runners at 1st and 3rd and 1 out. And Jed Lowry batting. Lowry is 2 for 3. Oakland has 8 hits. Houston has 7. No errors tonight. Each club has left 3 on base. Good bullpen action for Oakland. Ball 1 gets away from Castro, and here comes a runner to the plate, sliding home. Both runners advance. Alonso scoring. Burns to second, and it's 6-4.
Need to hand over the freebies. See what happens here. I don't know if that ball surprised Jason Castro somehow. He looked very casual, although backhanding on that ball, running that direction. Might have gotten some unusual movement.
It looked like maybe he thought he had caught it. It's ruled a pass ball. That's his 6th of the year. And he realized it wasn't in his mitt. Ball 1 to Lowry. He fouls it away. Let's see if we can pick it up here.
See, what you can't see there is the movement on the baseball. I saw Jason picking up, after he picked up the baseball, he took a couple of good looks at it, as if maybe looking for a scuff mark, something that might have lent to a movement that caught him off guard. Not an intentionally inflicted scuff mark.
You mean somebody would actually attempt to scuff a baseball?
Well, there have been rumors in this game.
Okay.
Rumors come from everywhere.
In the dirt for strike 2 on Lowry.
Castro immediately turned and had that baseball available to be ejected.
Strikeout of Lowry.
2 outs. Good stuff, great stuff in this case. Can overcome a guy who's swinging the bat pretty well, but it's that rare changeup. Well, or is that the slider that backs up?
I think it's the latter.
Yeah, you were talking with Ken Giles about a pitch we saw the other night that looked like a changeup, as did this pitch.
Yep.
Apparently a slider that just backs up on him.
He threw it to Adam Lynn Wednesday night and struck him out, and he said, yeah, I don't really throw a changeup, so it was a backup slider. Chris Davis is 0 for 3. That was strike 1. He said, sometimes I just don't get quite the release on it, and it doesn't react the same way as my normal slider.
And I wonder if that was the pitch that got by Castro, a called slider and then moving the other way.
That's a good theory. I'm buying in. 1-1. If anybody would know, you would know that.
You know, it falls in the category of guessing based on things you've seen. But you do get that guy that has the unusual slider, maybe 1 out of 5 times or whatever. Boy, it can mess up your day.
Foul away. 1-2. Who was the toughest pitcher for you to catch, other than the knuckleballer Joe Niekro?
Yeah. Joe Niekro, clearly. You know, J.R. Richard was really tough. Now, I will grant that he was about as tough as it ever got for a right-hand hitter, for example. Any hitter, maybe. But he could occasionally throw that backup slider on you. Even when he threw a good one, he'd bounce it out in front of you, and it was all about just kind of saving the day, trying to block it.
2-2.
Sometimes it felt like J.R. had, with his stride toward the plate, come to about 30 feet from home plate before delivering.
A few hitters would sign on to that.
Yeah.
Struck him out looking, and Giles strikes out Lowry and Davis. Oakland picks up a run on 1 hit with a man left. And the Astros lead it by 2 now, 6-4 in the 7th. Over the Athletics here at 7th inning stretch time. We'll check tonight's home field advantage, brought to you by Lowe's, and show you the home records of the Astros by month. 4-6 in April, 9-7 in May, 9-2 in June, 4-3 in July. And the Astros are 26-18 for the season at Minute Maid Park. They've won 13 of their last 20 at home. They lead this one 6-4, coming up now in the home 7th inning against right-hander Andrew Triggs. Triggs just taking over now for Zepchinski. Has worked 26 1/3 innings with an ERA of 6.15 and a whip of 1.52.
Yeah, add some more on after actually kind of providing a freebie for the Oakland A's.
Well, their run was unearned, by the way, in the top of the inning because of the pass ball. George Springer is 0 for 2 with a walk and a run scored. Sidearm delivery, breaking pitch for strike one. Mark Zepchinski in 1 1/3 innings allowed 1 hit, no runs, had no walks, struck out 1. It's 1-1 for Springer. Colin McHugh in 6 innings plus allowed 8 hits, 4 runs, 3 of them earned, with 2 walks. He struck out 3. Check swing foul makes it 1-2 for Springer. In Arlington, it's 5-4 Minnesota in the 6th.
Drop down heater will almost always run back toward the arm side for the righty.
Triggs appeared once against the Astros June 3rd. He worked 4 innings, giving up 7 hits and 5 earned runs. Outside there, and it's 2-2. The Astros are trying to get back to 7 games over 500. That is their high water mark of the season. With the Rangers down right now 5-4 in the middle of the 6th inning, Cole Hamels is out of that game, lasting 4 1/3, allowing 5 hits and 5 earned runs. He walked 6. So the good start that the Rangers have been looking for did not come from Hamels tonight. Kyle Gibson still in there for the Twins. Miguel Sano hit his 14th homer off Hamels in the top of the 5th inning. Triggs just came back from AAA Nashville on Monday. It's his 7th stint with the A's this year. Out into right center field, Burns slides over. In the wild card right now, it's the Rangers leading the AL West. The Astros are 6.5 out. The Mariners 9.5 back. And then in the wild card, the Blue Jays have that first wild card spot. The Red Sox are a game and a half out in the second wild card spot. And the Astros trailed the Red Sox by 1 for that second playoff berth. But they're a game and a half in front of Chicago and Kansas City. A little space opening up there for the teams behind them. Marwin Gonzalez is 1 for 3. A very important RBI single in the 5th inning to tie the game. Showing butt, he looks at ball 1. Seeing more and more stories about Alex Bregman is just lighting it up at AAA Fresno.
Another home run last night. Boy, he is tearing it up. He's right.
That's a ball. It's 2-0. Bregman has hit 5 homers in 8 games since his promotion to AAA. He's hit safely in all 8 of his AAA games, and he's hitting .389. He's driven in 14 runs in those 8 games, and he scored 11. He's been playing shortstop every day. Has not played third there yet. He played third at AA. 2 balls and a strike, and by the numbers that he's posted this year, AA and AAA may not be too far from consideration for a promotion to the major league club if there's a need.
Yeah, if there's a need. I think there's always a need for a guy who performs at a very high level. And if he's that guy, you go ahead and fill it in the way you want.
Yeah.
the backdoor slider. See the first couple of pitches?
Yep.
And I was sitting here thinking, man, that was a good pitch. And they were both called balls. One missed by the catcher.
Time call by Gonzalez. The plan, according to one article from Jeff Luhnow, is to allow Bregman to play other positions other than shortstop once he gets some more games in. Three and two.
You know, I could probably drop the name Nomar Mazara as we take a look at this pitch again. That slider trying to come back at the outside edge. Has he made the Rangers better?
Oh, yeah.
That youngster that comes on the scene and plays well?
Yes.
I think we all would agree that he's made them better.
Well, Shin-Soo Choo was hurt, and Mazara came in and just played great. Choo is now back, but you know, people were wondering, well, will he get his job back because Mazara is that good? And I think they've shifted Mazara to left field, played Choo in right, so they're using both of them quite a bit.
I'll give you my impression. I think Mazara's a better right fielder, but you know how things can go in the game at times.
That's ripped on a line into right field. He got a pitch he could handle, and he stung it. Marwin's 2 for 4 tonight.
There's that quick bat that Marwin comes up with from the left side of the plate. Short and sweet to the ball. It's a pretty nice pitch to handle.
Jose Altuve singled and scored in the 4th on the Carlos Correa 2-run homer. He drove in a run in the 5th. He's 1 for 3. Following it back, strike 1. Rangers now have tied the Twins 5-5. They're still batting in the bottom of the 6th. It's Atlanta 11 and the White Sox 6. They're in the bottom of the 7th inning.
Looked like Altuve on that last swing just had the throw caution to the wind kind of a swing. I haven't hit the barrel for quite a while. Let's do it now.
Yeah, it did. He was ripping. Runner took off and he fouled it. Marwin will come back to first on an 0-2 count now.
Sure is nice having a lead. You can take more chances.
Yes. Yeah, if you're playing from behind, you just don't feel that you can take a lot of risks. Have to do things very well to get back in the lead again. Runner takes off. Fly ball goes into the seats. Well, the Braves had to play that makeup game against the Cubs last night, just a one-game makeup at Wrigley. They had a rain delay of about an hour and a half, and then they played 11 innings. At least they get to stay in the city of Chicago, and they're leading the White Sox tonight 11-6 in the bottom of the 7th inning. Todd Frazier hit his 24th homer. He's going to be in home run derby again. Chris Sale tonight, Ash, gave up 10 hits and 8 earned runs in 5 innings to the Braves.
I don't buy that.
No?
No.
Okay, I lied. Brett Dolan?
I think the White Sox turned another triple play, Brownie. I think it's their 3rd of the year.
Yeah, you're right. I saw that earlier. Didn't get a chance to mention it. Thank you. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
You know, when you see Chris Sale on his game, there's just no way you can envision that a team can get to him like that.
No. And the throw goes over. 2-run lead for the Astros, 7th inning. Not exactly a feeling of great comfort. With Altuve batting and Correa on deck, the Astros have a chance to open up more space. This one gets by Vogt. That one really a wild pitch. Marwin to second base.
You know, if you'd like me to handle your pitches and have them not go to the backstop, to keep it within the 2 batters boxes.
Well, you're pretty demanding there, pal.
Well, it's a high level of baseball being played.
First wild pitch of the year for Triggs in his 27th major league inning this season. That gets the man into scoring position for Altuve. Marwin takes off early for third, and the pitch is foul. Altuve kind of flicked his right hand after it came off the bat. Not sure what the reasoning was for that. Sometimes the hitter doesn't like the guy running from second, though.
Marwin's probably thinking, I had the best jump of my career.
Yeah. Or it may have been Altuve saying, oh, I should have hit that pitch.
Well, he should have hit every pitch that he swings at. You can understand why he would have that feeling.
He's Ty Cobb.
Cobb could only dream.
Oh, that's strike 3. A tough pitch. Started it right at him. 2 outs.
He knows it. Never complains anyway. I would say, even though Altuve's been coming up with some hits and production in a game like tonight, he's off a little bit. He's just so good that even when he is off, he can produce.
Carlos Correa's had a big game. He had a 2-run bomb in the 4th inning, an RBI single in the 5th. That's strike 1 to him.
Try it again.
One ball and 1 strike. Seattle leads 3-1 at Kansas City. They're in the bottom of the 8th. Mariners blew one last night, and the Royals got a walk-off win in the 9th.
The ribeye to be snatched up.
Of all the steaks, do you think the ribeye steak is the most delicious for a baseball player?
Ooh, boy. For a baseball player, absolutely. Yeah. You get enough of those, you can buy yourself some fillets.
Well, a 2-out single will get him a ribeye steak. Ooh, that pitch right in on him, and that's called a swing by Kerwin Danley. 2-2 now.
Still looking for that slider away. You've seen it 2 or 3 in a row, and that heater comes chasing you.
Kind of Triggs anatomy, that pitch that comes in on you and then the slider away. That's a difficult task for a hitter. Marwin started to take off. He had a big jump earlier when Altuve was batting. Not so much of a reason to steal third with 2 outs in the inning.
Yeah, I wonder if Marwin was telling Carlos Correa right there with that little slash on his neck, I'll stop. That's I'm not going to do it to you anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, just a question.
Yeah, it's a fair one. Struck him out. No runs, a hit, and a man left after 7. It's 6-4 Houston.
MLB.tv Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers everything you've come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. It includes a free subscription to At-Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for more details.
We have defensive changes for the Houston Astros depicted right there. Danny Worth is in the game at second base. Marwin Gonzalez has moved to first base. A.J. Reed coming out of the game. And here's Luke Gregerson also in this ball game. Josh Reddick, the batter, taking ball one.
So I guess if you ask yourself along the way, what's the pecking order defensively at first base? I think this move right here tells you immediately that Marwin right now is considered the #1 guy defensively down there.
Reddick bangs one off his leg. 1-1. Gregerson was put to the test on that save against Seattle in the 9-8 win Wednesday. He gave up 1 run. He walked 3. And he took over with a 9-7 lead, but he struck out Nelson Cruz with 2 men on, then walked Seager intentionally and struck out Dae-Ho Lee with the bases loaded to end the game. That's tapped to first. Marwin steps on the bag, and Reddick is retired. But it really was a test, you know, one of those for a reliever. He's reaching down so deep because the wheels are coming off. He had back-to-back walks on 4 pitches to Leonys Martin and Seth Smith. Then he gave up an RBI double to Robinson Cano, and there was 1 out in the inning, and it was getting very, very challenging.
Yeah,
he passed that.
There was a point there where I thought the axle had broken.
Yeah,
and you're right. That was quite an effort to be able to finish that thing out with the W.
Really was. Danny Valencia is 1 for 3. What was that noise? Do you know?
Don't know.
Sounded like somebody banging on a punching bag.
Remember the days of the Pittsburgh Pirates? If you hear some noise, it's just me and the boys bopping, something like that.
Okay. Was that Lightning and Lumber group?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Ooh, they could hit. 1-1. That was the Dave Parker and Bill Madlock, Willie Stargell.
Willie Stargell, yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Bill Robinson.
That group could swing it.
Oh, they could hit. Tim Foley. Well,
he was the setup man.
Yeah, 1 and 2. He could bunt well and advance runners.
Get Omar on in front of him, and nice changeup right there. Oh, that's a fastball at 90, but had a changeup impact. But yeah, Foley was the guy that would enable Omar to steal some bags.
Exactly. Struck him out. Gregerson has just been nails since he went into the setup role.
Slider right over the top.
Will Harris needed a rest the other night. He had pitched 3 days in a row. So Gregerson came in for that save. Stephen Vogt is 2 for 3, an RBI triple in this game. So Gregerson went back to his old closer role. This foul ball out of play. Gregerson had not had a save and really didn't have save opportunities since June 4th. And yet he moved right into that setup role and really has helped the club in a major way, setting it up for Harris. Tonight, Giles in 1 inning allowed no hits, no runs with no walks, 2 strikeouts. So this threesome of Giles, Gregerson, Harris has been very potent for the Astros when they have a lead after 6.
Like any other closer, Will Harris can only go so many games in a row. And there come those nights you've got to adjust things, and you do the best you can.
Texas has jumped in front of Minnesota again, 6-5 in the middle of the 7th. Gregerson fields it. That's a 1-2-3-8. The Astros lead it 6-4. Astros lead the Athletics, and we're happy to have the Lopez family because they love Root Sports. We promised earlier in the game Miller time. Here it is, brought to you by Miller Lite. Here is Carlos Correa, hitting his 35th career homer as the Astros shortstop. That ties the all-time high set by Adam Everett. And then another big hit in the 4-run 5th inning. He drives in a run. He's 2 for 4 tonight with a 3 RBI game.
Just a little frisky on the bases, but keep driving in those runs. That was, by the way, perfect execution defensively by the A's.
Yes, it was. Luis Valbuena takes from Andrew Triggs. There's ball 1. Valbuena drove in a run with a single to left in the 5th. He's 1 for 3. Sarah Jernigan says she voted by text 6,763 times for George Springer. Thanks, Sarah. 2-0. And you can see a doctor anytime for that tendonitis.
Or for the other things that are going wrong.
And for a strike, it's 2-1. Dave Ward did color for the Houston Oilers.
Did he?
Well,
you know, I just heard the little music going on for the Oilers. The Love You Blue theme.
Yeah.
I'm going to need help here in a few seconds, I think.
Aren't we all? 3 balls and a strike.
Those were good days, though, Bronny.
He also did stats for radio. And he also is a cameraman.
Yeah.
He made the Guinness record books, Guinness Book of World Records, just shy of 50 years at that station. There's Dave Ward. He's on at 6 o'clock. Right before Astros Live at 6:30. High chop near the third base line. This is going to be an infield hit for Valbuena. Well, he's got 2 hits to the opposite field tonight.
You can only hope to contain him, right?
Yep.
You know, that's a. I'm not sure that was worth any kind of an effort down to third base. Let's take our look and see. Did Danny Valencia make a wise effort here? Yeah, I guess that was going to stay fair one way or the other. But there was zero shot at getting Valbuena here. So the only shot you're taking is to throw one down the right field line. Pretty good work down at first base.
Yep. Under Alonso.
I say he's a really good first sacker.
Carlos Gomez is 0 for 3. That's ball 1. That's a tough pitch down and in from that delivery to a right-handed batter. Dave Ward is the longest running news anchor in American television history. Pleasure to have him with us. 1 ball, 1 strike. Did we ever answer that question about why the Toronto Blue Jays are in the American League?
I don't think we did effectively. I made my best effort, but that came well short.
Well, Montreal was in the National League for many years. Pushed on the bunt. Gomez is out at first. Valbuena moves over to second. And it'll probably be ruled a sacrifice bunt. Even though he was trying to get a hit on it. It is a sacrifice.
Yonder Alonso gets challenged right here. Watch Triggs drop down and bring some gas.
Yeah.
That's actually more of a challenge than you might guess on the other end of this heater. You might have had enough room to be able to see it well. You start getting 2 players pretty close together and then have one bring it like that and just slip on by.
Danny Worth looks at ball 1. Danny has not had much playing time lately, but the plan is for him to start a game here this weekend. He's hitting 148 for 27 at bats. No homers, no runs batted in. Good handyman on the infield. A.J. Reed was 0 for 2 with a walk as the starting first baseman. Was playing second with Marwin moving over to first. Out into center field. He's got a hit. Valbuena's being sent home by Gary Pettis. Here's a throw. And it is not in time. 7-4 on the RBI single by Danny Worth.
There you go. Hits have been hard to come by for Danny. This one just extends that lead to 3 runs, and it feels better. A little in on the handle there, but beautifully dunked. And yes, the Astros will run on Billy Burns.
First RBI as an Astro by Danny Worth. That's hit number 10 for them. Now Jake Marisnick looks at ball 1. Jake's had a good game. He's been on base twice. 7-10-0 for Houston with 4 men left. 4-8-0 for Oakland with 4 men left. It's 1-1.
I still don't feel like you've given the Class A answer for why the Blue Jays are in the American League.
Okay, you're right. Scott Feldman is warming up alongside Will Harris. Right now, it's a 3-run lead, a save situation. But Brett Dolan has more. Brett?
Wasn't there a San Antonio team in the Canadian Football League for a couple of years?
I think so.
That didn't make any sense either, right?
Not a bit. Not a bit.
So I guess if we throw out a "it doesn't make any sense" answer, that answers the question.
It covers it perfect.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well done.
Well, you know, Toronto was an expansion club. In fact, you, sir,
Don't point at me.
were a very big part of that expansion Toronto Blue Jays team. You were the first player acquired by that club?
First player traded for. Yes,
right.
following the draft. Back in those days, we were informed that we were going to be protected in that case by the Indians. So I didn't even pay attention. I didn't know the name of the team, and then I got the phone call that said, "Can you please give us your response to being traded to the Blue Jays?" And it wasn't the most appropriate response at the time. I felt like I had no idea what they were even talking about.
Shot to shortstop. Simeon throws and just gets him. 2 outs. Worth to second base.
Put a little heat on Simeon. Marcus Simeon a year ago may not have had the same end result. He was an error ready to happen last year. He's been great this year.
Jason Castro's the batter. Brett has more on the Canadian Football League for us.
San Antonio Texans, I'm hearing, 1990 to 93. Just what you wanted to know, I'm sure.
Well,
95.
They always welcome Texans in Canada. We know that.
Now, where did they find a field in San Antonio that was 110 yards long? Or what is the length of that field? Or is it
I think it was
deeper in
110.
the end zones? Huh?
Yeah, the end zones are deeper. And I think the field is deeper, right? 110 also.
It can mess up your game planning.
So what was the question really on Toronto being an American League club? I'm not sure what that was all about.
It was your question. And your answer was, well, Montreal was a National League team.
Well, the American League wanted to expand and chose Toronto as an expansion city.
Good choice, too.
That's the only answer we really have. Now, some people think that somewhere down the road, with the Tampa Bay situation being shaky in terms of baseball interest in that area, and the inability to build a new stadium in that area, that maybe Tampa Bay will move to Montreal.
A lot of people seem to think Montreal has a great deal of interest once again in gaining a team.
2-2.
And they didn't reflect that a whole lot while they had the Expos in their latter years.
True. But let's just say it happened. That would be a great alignment for travel for the American League East. And also, you've got the 2 Canada teams playing each other in the same division. There would be a lot of interest in that in Canada.
I wonder if the Blue Jays' natural rival would still be the Phillies.
Probably. Yeah. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Well, the Astros and Diamondbacks are going to have to work on that rivalry. They really are.
Astros Singleton scored in the 5th. He's 1 for 3. So apparently it's Harris if it's a 3-run lead going to the 9th. And if the Astros get more, it's Feldman. And they might, because Castro now has walked, and that brings up Springer. George is 0 for 3 with a walk, and he has scored a run.
I actually think it's kind of a shame that a stat like a save sets up 2 guys to be throwing in the bullpen going to the 9th inning.
True. That's today's game.
And the fact that you'll hear from an agent or 2 tomorrow if you don't do it properly.
Way outside, ball 1 to George. The Mariners beat the Royals 3-2 in Kansas City. Iwakuma the winner for the 9th time.
Catcher sets up in, pitch goes away, and I think the umpire has a responsibility not to look at the catcher, but to look at the strike zone.
You want the umpire to look at the strike zone?
It seems to me like that would be appropriate.
2-0. Well, it's your birthday, so you can have any rule you want to.
For the next 364, I will not make that request.
You are really trying to stretch the parameters of this sport, though, Ash, with that kind of demand.
Like you haven't made that request on your birthday.
Big cut, 2-1. Don't you feel bad about the people who don't have birthdays during the baseball season?
It's the breaks of life, I guess. Huh? George was trying to air out this slider. It's actually a really good finishing position there for George.
That's a tough pitch. It's 2-2. Where Triggs wanted it.
Look at that grouping of pitches.
3-2. Fireworks night on Friday. Sure, fans will get that special bonus after this game, and then day baseball comes your way tomorrow. 2:30. Time for Astros pregame. Lance McCullers and Kendall Graveman tomorrow at 3:10. Runners go, and it's a strikeout. Sending this game to the 9th. The Astros get a run on 2 hits. They leave 2, and it's 7-4 Houston after 8. Houston Astros baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing too high. And by Lexus, the new 2016 Lexus ES and ES Hybrid. It's next level luxury. We go to the ninth inning. It's a save situation. Will Harris is in with a 7-4 Houston lead. Harris got save number 9 3 days ago in his latest outing. And looking really strong as an all-star, the leader in the American League in ERA by a reliever, a 199 batting average against him with 38 strikeouts and 6 walks. Ash,
I think that would say he's taken to the role, hasn't he?
oh,
Why his year last year as a setup guy, his year this year earlier as a setup guy, just dynamite, and nothing has changed for Will.
he is 9 for 9 in saves. Billy Butler leads it off in the ninth inning. He has an RBI single and a walk tonight. That's ball 1. Harris saved the 5-2 win over Seattle Tuesday night. And he gave up 1 hit in his 1 inning with 2 strikeouts for Will. Fouled away. It's been a dream season for him so far. 1 ball, 1 strike.
You know, you go about a hit an inning as a pitcher, and you've performed about that midway level. It's a nice job, but Will takes it to the extremes.
27 hits in 37 2/3 innings. He swung at it. 1-2 to Billy Butler.
As this fastball sails up and in and starts the bat, and you get kind of a peak. Last year, 42 hits allowed in 71 innings by Will Harris.
He has not given up an extra base hit this year. Club record 37 games. Fly ball toward the right field corner. A long run for Springer. It's going foul, and it is a foul ball. Could have been an extra base hit.
I don't think we have ever seen George Springer take a rough night offensively out to the defensive position in right field.
Boy, does he play hard all the time. Yes. You're right. He is just full effort, all out, concentrating on that position, not thinking about what he did in his last at bat. Foul back. Now we've read stories about the Pittsburgh outfield. Pirates 3 outfielders considered to be perhaps the best defensively, but the Astros certainly stack up well in defensive metrics, and just watching how they play. Two balls, 2 strikes. Andrew McCutcheon's a great center fielder. Polanco in right has a big time arm. Starling Marte, essentially a center fielder playing left. So it's really similar to the Astros outfield. Just excellent defensively. Now 3-2 to Butler.
Where's the top of that strike zone? That misses
a little bit.
Marginally.
Harris has walked 6 this year. Line drive left field corner. Butler's around first, and that ball has a crazy carom, so he'll get into second base with his 13th double of the year. And just popped straight up in the air and landed toward the wall on the warning track for Jake Marisnick. First extra base hit allowed this year by Will Harris.
He left one up. Billy Butler, he's had some really good years as a major league hitter. Took a while, didn't it?
It did. Yonder Alonso is 1 for 3. That's strike one. Wade Davis had a 45-game stretch without giving up an extra base hit from 2013 through a portion of 2014. 37 games for Harris this year until somebody broke through with an extra base hit against him. Alonso with a big cut. 0-2.
After working down and away and then come back up and in. Listen to a lot of pitchers meetings and they'll talk about that kind of pattern over and over.
Oh, it bounces. And the runner has to hold. It comes up off the chest protector of Jason Castro. 1-2.
The fall on that baseball a little much as needs would require. Jason Castro, that's just getting it done when you really don't have much of a chance.
Use the mask for part of that block. Two balls and 2 strikes. Oakland won it last night 3-1. Houston tries to square this 4-game series. And the Astros lead through 8 innings. Their record is 42-1. Fouled away. Cishek got his 21st save in that Mariners 3-2 win at Kansas City. The Mariners go to a game above 500 while the Royals are 2 above 500 now. Miami tops Cincinnati 3-1 in Miami. Marlins are 4 games over 500 in a real surprise season. Jose Fernandez, the winner, is 11-4. He beat Dan Straley. AJ Ramos got the save. Fernando Rodney got the hold. Christian Yelich, that's home run number 7. It's 3-2. Oakland is 1-44 when trailing after 8 innings. Harris has gone 3-2 on both of these hitters here in the 9th inning. Semion's on deck. Semien showed off his home run power in the 4th inning. That's a drive to right field. That one's headed for the seats, and that's a 2-run homer. 7-6 as Alonso hits number 4 of the year. He has driven in 9 runs against the Astros this season, and it's a 1-run lead with nobody out in the 9th.
Well. It doesn't happen against Will much, but he's left some pitches up here in the inning. Didn't have much to spare, but he didn't need any to spare.
Brent Strom went out for a quick visit, so Harris, who had not given up an extra base hit all year, has allowed a double and a 2-run homer, and now the lead is down to 1. Alonso hit his 4th homer. That gives him 26 runs batted in. First homer allowed since October 3rd last year. Marcus Semien unloaded a long ball in the 4th. He also has a walk tonight. That's strike one.
Consistently elevated here in the inning.
Oh, 2. There's action in both bullpens right now. Pirates beat the Cubs 8-4. Ryan Dull is throwing in the Oakland bullpen. Michael Feliz in the Houston pen. Struck him out. 1 out.
Pretty good little dose of pain in that at bat. Doesn't hurt to catch a break either. I think you could argue that that bat went through.
Jake Smolinski is the pinch hitter for Billy Burns. Smolinski is hitting .304. He has 4 homers, 16 runs batted in. He's had 79 at bats. Has a .494 slugging percentage. As a pinch hitter, 3 for 10, 1 homer, 3 runs batted in for Smolinski. And that's strike one on a foul. Jed Lowry's on deck. The A's have made it interesting. They led 3-0 after the top of the 4th. Feliz working now. They cut the Astros lead to 7-6. Both clubs with 10 hits, no errors. It's 0-2. Smolinski has started July going 3 for 16. Had a very good month of June. He was recalled from AAA Nashville May 20th for the first time by the A's. He's been with the Texas Rangers as well. Upstairs, 1-2 to Jake Smolinski. Jake Arrieta lost for the Cubs. He's now 12-4. Mark Melancon got his 27th save for the Pirates. Arrieta gave up 6 earned runs in 6 innings.
He's come back down to earth somewhat, hasn't he?
Yes, he has. 2-2. Well, the Cubs and the Texas Rangers have both slowed down somewhat. Cubs, though, had an 8-game lead over St. Louis, 8.5 over Pittsburgh before today's games. St. Louis is trailing at Milwaukee 4-3 in the ninth. Foul back. Still 2-2. The Astros bullpen ERA is the second lowest in the American League, 3.17 coming into this game. Ground ball left side, and that's a single. Third hit of the inning. Smolinski has a pinch single, bringing up Lowry. Now we get a pinch runner at first. Tyler Ladendorf.
It's in a zone where Smolinski was able to get a really good swing. Might feel fortunate that this was hit over the top of the baseball.
Ladendorf, the pinch runner, with 1 out at first base. Jed Lowry, the batter. Lowry is 2 for 4. Astros with the pull shift on with 1 out in the inning. would love to wrap this one up with a double play ball. Lowry's hit some big blows against the Astros.
Some big blows for the Astros too.
Yeah, that's true also. Especially that 3-run homer in Anaheim late in the season. Jets hitting 185 against Houston this year, but he hit a big home run here. And this one goes toward the left field corner. That is trouble. Deep into the corner. Here's Ladendorf being stopped at third. The throw comes into Correa and into second with a double. Lowry. His third hit of the night. That's the fourth hit of the inning. 3 for extra bases. A.J. Hinch is making a move.
That's clearly a night where Will Harris is not as sharp as we've certainly grown accustomed to. And now you got the shot with Michael Feliz coming on, the guy that can really run off some strikeouts.
With runners at second and third and 1 out, the Astros would love to get one of those. Let's look at the Lowry. Decided to hold up Ladendorf. So now with a pitching change, it's Michael Feliz warming up. And Davis will be the batter with Reddick on deck.
Chris Davis, we know about his power. He's also a guy that strikes out a bunch. And that sets up well for Michael Feliz when you consider this kind of situation.
5-1, a 4.12 ERA for Feliz and a whip of 1.02. And he has a chance here for his first career save.
Get the strikeout right here or the infield pop-up, and then you give yourself a real chance.
And he got a blown save against Seattle on Wednesday, coming in with a 5-4 lead in the 7th inning. He allowed a 3-run homer by Seth Smith, giving up 3 runs in 1 inning. The Astros regrouped and won the game 9-8.
One of the challenges about this particular scenario is with runners at second and third, really tough to bring your infield in at short and second. Therefore, the ground ball creates that tie game scenario.
Davis, we mentioned the power that he has, 19 homers, but tonight 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts.
So A.J. Hinch plays kind of the just beyond halfway infield.
Ball 1 for Feliz. Ladendorf showed some very good speed on the double by Lowry. That's out to left center field, and that one's going to be a deep drive. That's going to drive in 2 off the bullpen wall. 2-run double, and Oakland takes the lead 8-7. Davis now has 55 runs batted in. That's his 11th double, and it's a huge 9th inning for the Athletics.
Just almost can't believe what's happened here.
A 4-run 9th.
After missing on the first pitch, comes right in with the fastball, finds a good piece of home plate, and a lot of power from Chris Davis.
Josh Reddick is 0 for 4. That's 13 hits for Oakland now. 5 of them in this ninth, and 4 have been extra base hits. Foul for strike one. Reddick is the 7th Oakland player to bat here in this inning. Bob Melvin has used all of his position players except backup catcher Matt McBride. Ryan Madson, the closer, is warming up for Oakland. Strike two. Madson got his 17th save last night, and he didn't need many pitches, only 6, in getting a 1-2-3 ninth inning. The Astros will have their 2-3-4 hitters due up. Gonzalez, Altuve, Correa in the bottom of the ninth. Liner to right field. That's in for a hit. Springer charging. Here's the runner coming to the plate. Springer with the throw. It's cut off. The run scores. Relay on to second in time for the out. But the run had scored. And it's now 9-7. Reddick picks up the RBI, his 20th. He's thrown out at second for out number 2.
You know, the A's have obviously found some ninth inning magic. That slider gets tattooed. Good throw by George Springer. Cuttable, and therefore you're able to get the out at second base.
Now up and in to Valencia. He's the 8th man to bat here in the Oakland ninth. Valencia is 1 for 4. Well, Springer will get credit for an outfield assist on that. His 9th of the year. By throwing into Marwin Gonzalez, who then relayed it to Carlos Correa for the tag. 2-0 to Valencia with Stephen Vogt on deck. A 5-run ninth.
I think that pitch may be a strike as well. Yep. Just too many of these in the zone that are not called strikes.
In for a strike. 2-1. Out away, and it's a 2-ball, 2-strike count. 31,438 the paid attendance tonight. They have seen Oakland really come alive here in the 9th inning. Butler doubled, Alonso a 2-run homer. Smolinski a pinch single, a double by Lowry, 2-run double by Davis, RBI single by Reddick. The Rangers beat the Twins in Texas 6-5. He checked his swing. The call was made by Kerwin Danley on appeal, and it's 3-2 now on Valencia.
Like Danny Valencia did a really nice job to keep that bat kind of near the shoulder going by. Does it go through? I think a lot of people might say yes.
A strikeout ends it. 8 men come to the plate in the 9th inning. 5 of them score on 6 hits. We go to the bottom of the 9th. Oakland leads it 9-7. Ninth inning explosion now goes with its closer, Ryan Madson. Also has some changes in the outfield. Madson will take over, trying for save number 18. He's 17 for 20. His ERA is 2.75.
Hard thrower. Guy that'll pick up his strikeouts. Looking at the Astros order here in the ninth inning, 2, 3, 4. So they're set up pretty well.
Andrew Triggs can be the winning pitcher in 2 innings. He allowed 3 hits, 1 run. Had 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. Tyler Ladendorf stays in the game to play center field after pinch running for Smolinski, who had pinch hit for Burns. Marwin Gonzalez leads it off here in the home ninth. Marwin is 2 for 4, an RBI in the 5th inning. 9-14-0 for Oakland with 4 men left. 7-10-0 for Houston with 6 men left. Jose Altuve is on deck. Carlos Correa due up third. Bunting. Madson flips and gets him 1 out.
Good idea. Just needed a little more oomph on that bunt to get on by Madson. Tries to bring it with him. You want the second baseman forced into making that play, or have the first baseman break toward the ball.
Jose Altuve is 1 for 4 with an RBI tonight. Trying to get on for Carlos Correa, who's on deck. Third baseman Valbuena, or third baseman Valencia rather, is even with the bag. Out into right center field. That will loop in for a single for Altuve. A 2-hit game for Jose. And now Correa, who's driven in 3 tonight.
And again, Altuve doesn't sting it, but finds a way to get a knock. It sets up Carlos Correa for a chance. He is an uncanny hitter.
Correa ripped a 2-run homer in the 4th. He had an RBI single in the 5th. The veteran Madson tries to close it out. Deals ball 1 upstairs.
Bill Welke behind the plate, the crew chief, has missed a number of pitches that we have in the strike zone. I would say that was a pitch Carlos Correa might have been trying to attack.
It's 1-1. Valbuena on deck. Will Harrison 1/3 of an inning, allowed 4 hits, 4 runs, with no walks, 1 strikeout. 26 pitches, 17 for strikes. And the move to first, Altuve diving back. Altuve has 22 steals in 25 attempts. Correa is grounded into 6 double plays. Altuve's going. Swing and a miss. No play on Altuve. It's 1-2.
Why the stolen base? Stay out of that double play scenario. And Madson has the high leg kick. I think Altuve just at some point felt like this is a freebie. Let's go ahead and take it.
23rd steal for Altuve. Madson retired Correa last night on a fly ball to right. It's 2-2. Tony Sips warming up for Houston. Correa looks at that one in the dirt. It's a full count. Correa has been clutch in the late innings this year. Oh, he swung at a pitch that was in the dirt, and he's going to make it to first base on a strikeout. Wow.
Just as good as a single right there.
That is amazing. Strikeout and a wild pitch with Altuve taking third and Correa making it to first.
And all of a sudden there's some heat turning the other direction. I don't know what prompted the swing here, but sure, I'm glad that Carlos had the scenario all in his head and took off sprinting.
He was alert. Well, the strikeout is number 11 for Oakland pitching tonight. 13 strikeouts for the A's last night. Here's Valbuena, 2 for 4 with an RBI. The shift is on, as it always is for Valbuena. High to right field. Oh my goodness, they win it! Do you believe this finish? Luis Valbuena sends everybody home happy. It's a miraculous finish for the Astros. They win it 10-9 in the bottom of the ninth.
That is the definition of not quitting.
Their 12th win in the final at bat. A walk-off homer for Luis Valbuena, and this place is going crazy after Oakland got 5 in the ninth. This is just one amazing ninth inning. Oakland really creating a doom and gloom environment after that 5-run top of the ninth, and the Astros rescue it with a 3-run walk-off from Valbuena, his 12th home run of the year right here.
He got the pitch he wanted. He knows it right away. Sometimes it's not pretty, but very special for this club.
George Springer, Marwin Gonzalez, and now the third walk-off homer of the year. It comes from Luis Valbuena. Oh, are they happy as they wait for the fireworks. They've already had a pretty good start. We go to Brett Dolan.
Luis Valbuena had the big shot tonight. Is there a better feeling than a walk-off home run?
Oh my God, unbelievable. I feel so good, you know. Try to win the game. He threw me a good pitch to hit and looking for the corner. And I hit it good.
You did. What's going through the dugout after that ninth inning? Uncharacteristically, Will Harris doesn't have a good frame. 5-run score, and yet you guys find a way with 3 runs in the bottom of the ninth.
That's what happened in the game. So you see, Harris is not good today, but the team never put the head down. He's come the next inning, he do the best, and you see what happened.
When Correa struck out but reached first base, did you feel like maybe the momentum had swung?
Yeah, I say, hey, that's my moment to do something for the win the game, and I'm very fucking looking for my pitch, and that's what happened.
I mentioned to you a couple of nights ago, you're not hitting any fence scrapers. You're hitting them in the second deck. You're not getting cheated at all.
No, I'm not trying to hit it too far away. I only had a good contact, and the ball is carried a lot.
Carried a lot. He got 3 Gatorade baths tonight, but the hero, Luis Valbuena, tonight.
What a finish. Michael Feliz is the winner. Ryan Madsen the loser. Valbuena hit his 8th career go-ahead homer in the 8th inning or later. And what a time to bring out the big stick. The Astros win it 10-9.